Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week where we talk about all the latest in pop culture news, TV and movie reviews, gaming news, and just the general conversations of the day. For those who don't know me, I'm Price of Reason, and with me, as always, is my co host, Professor R2. How's it going, Professor?
Oh, it's going all right. Oh no, I have a second tab somewhere. Hold on. Oh, there it is. Okay. I hate that. Leave a tab open and then suddenly it starts playing your voice back to you. Oh no, I'm doing good. I was doing some yard work earlier today and I twisted my ankle, so that's always fun. But
Oh,
I'm surviving.
I never
Yes.
do yard work because I don't have a yard.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, that even if I had a yard, I probably wouldn't be doing yard work. It's not my scene.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Well, as a homeowner, it's unfortunately a thing you have to do. It's not
that's
not exactly fun. Yeah.
That's one of the reasons that I've always steered away from that kind of home ownership. When it comes to like a house that you have that kind of responsibility, man, it's too much to think that I would be responsible for some cutting grass and stuff. It's a lot to ask of me.
Yeah. Thankfully, I have a teenager who handles most of the mowing and stuff, but there's other things that you got to do from time to time. So yeah,
Price would make it au natural,
yeah.
perhaps.
I've got some family who lives in Arizona, and so they just completely got rid of all of their grass and did what's called a xeriscape, where it's just rocks and and plants that require no maintenance, desert plants and stuff. So they
That's
don't
the
have to do
best.
any. Yeah, there you go. Rocks and sand and
We have a yard guy
cacti.
do our yard work. Well worth it in our opinion.
Yeah, you know. Yep.
Hey, the dead man, how's it going?
Yeah.
And Phantom Monk. Nice to see everybody here.
Yeah, good to see a lot of our regulars here. Elizabeth Quince.
Grass is for bigots.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Quince, who was also a supporter on the Rumble
Yeah.
side, and greatly appreciate that. So, yeah, today there's so much stuff going on. I just felt like, earlier when I put together a few things we could discuss, since then there were other things that happened.
Oh,
So,
jeez. Yeah,
just a lot.
so much stuff going on, and it's I was reading some stories over the weekend talking about how, like, in this, that some people saying that perhaps Trump had his best week since he was elected in the last week, like wins just all over the place. The big beautiful bill, looking like there's going to be more peace deals over in Israel, look, in the Middle East. Looking like there's going to be, of course, like I said, the big beautiful bill is going to pass, but looking like there's going to be some other, positives for him in DC. Just racking up the wins, and people just some people just can't stand it. They can't take it.
No, some people can't stand it. Well, for starters, I think that this big, beautiful bill, probably he would have touted it as a big achievement. But the one thing that's kind of putting a damper on his celebrations here is that Elon Musk is still. It seemed like he was a bit quiet, kind of quietly waiting to see what happens with this bill. And the second that, it was leading up to it getting passed and it got passed, he's been very kind of, aggressive in the type of statements that he's making, creating a new party within the political system, bankrolling other candidates to remove the ones that approve this bill, things like that. Very serious stuff. Now, a lot of times when somebody says that, it's just, some dude, and you just say, okay, whatever. That's very nice, dude. But Elon is, I believe, the wealthiest man in the world. When he says he's going to bankroll some people and bankroll some stuff, that's not nothing. That actually is a real threat. And I saw that then Trump was kind of like, well, we could always cut all these government subsidies. And he's like, fine, cut them. So it's really going in a kind of a very strange direction. Uh,
It's
Tom
just
Massey, who was this opposer of Trump's bill,
mhm.
that most people thought was kind of annoying, at least on the Republican side. Elon seems to embrace him. Uh, and also, it had a situation. I think JD Vance was like the deciding votes. He personally had to move this in the direction of passing, I believe.
Yeah, it ended up passing 51-49. Yep.
Right, and the dead man is saying that he thinks Elon may get deported. I mean, I've been hearing a lot of strange things. I think that deporting is a very strong word. I believe that
Yeah.
Elon's been here a very long time. I would assume he's already a citizen. I don't know, I don't.
Yes, there's all sorts of stuff there. You're talking about revoking citizenships, and most of it is just. I mean, it's let's be honest, it's dick swinging. Okay, that's that's all it is most of the time. As far as creating a third, a national party, let's remember that we do already have some of those, and they've been around for a while. The Libertarian Party, really very successful. I don't believe they have a single candidate in any state, or any federal, seat anywhere. They might in a few states. The Green Party. Uh, there was the Constitution Party. I think maybe they're still around here and there. No Labels. Um, the Reform Party, which was started by Ross Perot back in the 1990s. You know, the only thing that did,
It helped somebody get elected
it
that
got
nobody
Bill Clinton.
wanted. Yeah,
It got
like
Bill Clinton elected. That's what it did.
exactly.
It got the current Republican in in office, the incumbent, out of office, and got him replaced with Bill
Right, I
Clinton.
remember something like that. Uh,
That was the only effect that the Reform Party had. So the yes, I would much prefer that we did have a system that was a little bit more like what you see in a lot of other countries, where there's lots of different parties and people get elected on these different platforms, and then you have to kind of form a functioning government out of the people from all these different parties, where you have these different, you know what I mean? Where and so you end up with a lot of compromise. You end up with a lot of people they're able to vote for somebody who represents their ideals. It's not just a choice between this or that. And I mean, ideally, that's better. Unfortunately, I don't see how we move that direction, at least not quickly in our nation as it is. So uh, this whole idea of creating another party, I get it. Um, I get why he's going down this road. But I don't know what Elon is smoking, or what tablets he's popping. I don't know, but he needs to quit it. Starting another third party is not going to help. It's not
no,
going to
and
change.
I was thinking about this today. Uh, Elon is a guy that he's so good with companies and with technology and being an innovator and doing all that business stuff. I've said it before. Politics is a very different game. And I feel like his idea from day one, he thought, okay, well, I'll back Trump. Well, I backed him. Now we can make all these changes. Like, why don't we do this and why don't we do that? But in reality, some of the things that you want, they're not as simple. I still think that if you look at the options for what the options were prior to this election, even if you go for like the idea of like the lesser evil or whatever it is, I think that whether you like Trump or not, whether you like his policies or not, and I myself, some things, sometimes I'm ambivalent, but I certainly didn't feel like whatever the other guys were offering was something that was good. I
Yeah,
mean, first it was Joe
yeah,
Biden that seemed like he wasn't even there, and Kamala to me didn't seem like a good candidate. And at the end, you hope that there will be a person that at least will do some of the things that he said, or maybe some good things. It's not even that every single thing I like or single thing he says I like
sure,
when it comes to Trump. But I'm just saying that you have to be kind of a realistic person. You have to sort of zoom out, look at what's happening, and kind of be realistic. And for me, I feel like Elon is kind of being, in a way, unrealistic. Now, when it comes to him being unrealistic, like, oh, I want to build a spaceship, and then he goes and does it, I think it's great. But to change the whole political system, I don't know. I don't know that he can do it. I never underestimate a guy, especially when he has so much money. But I don't know if this is really going to achieve the results that he's thinking it's going to achieve.
Mhm. Yeah. No. Uh, there's so many barriers. There's so many issues with trying to create and launch and really promote a third party. It's not just about money, right? Elon can solve problems with money. That's not an issue. Uh, but there's some major issues at both the state and federal levels, and then at the like party levels, like different things that they've done with like how debates work, and things that they've done with like how you get on a ballot in different states, and get on a federal ballot. You know what I mean? There's
They've
lots
made
of
it
these
very
weird rules
difficult.
where it's actually a lot harder for third parties to get on all of those ballots everywhere. And also, if you don't have the organization, because you have to think about the fact that all of these different states, they have organizations for these parties to like get out the vote, to go and tell people, hey, knock on doors and say, hey, make sure you vote, that. Trying to bring that out of nothing, right? To make that something that happens before the midterm elections, in another year and a half, or the elections in 3 years, whatever. Like, it's wild to think that that could actually happen and really make a difference. When it comes to politics like this, sometimes it sucks. I know that it does, but sometimes you have to realize that politics is often it's just about compromise. Yes, sometimes you're not going to get everything you want, but you hope that what you do get helps you get a step further towards the goal. I don't like the fact that this big, beautiful bill, first of all, I'll be completely honest with you. I don't want a big, beautiful bill. I don't want any big bills. I think there should be rules about how long bills ought to be. I think that the Senate should have rules that say, look, if I can't sit down, and if a reasonable person can't sit down and read this within an hour, it's too big. You should make smaller bills. Having one gigantic, ridiculous bill like when they passed, Obamacare years and years ago. It was so massive. It was this stack of paper that would, you know, probably put end to end, the right way, could probably circumnavigate the earth. It was enormous. And then they were like, what's in the bill? Well, we'll find out after we pass it. It's ridiculous, right? We should not have, bills that are that big. These should all be smaller things. Now, the other problem is that what they've been doing with the big beautiful bill is that they want to be able to pass it through using reconciliation, which has rules. There's only certain things that can be included in those types of bills. And in order to do that, in order to get this bill through using that way, that so that it doesn't require 60 votes in the Senate, there's some stuff that they can't put in there, right? There's some stuff that they can't include. And so that happens, right? Uh, we're gonna have to wait, put this, on the back burner, put it somewhere else, put it in a different bill. It's not something that we can pass as part of this bill. And then, yes, there's going to be other things that are thrown in there too. I don't like how giant the bill is. I would have preferred smaller bills. And at the same time, I also don't like the fact, just like Elon has argued, I do not like that they have included a massive increase in our debt ceiling as part of this bill, saying, we're going to say, oh, let's save money. Let's cut, the budget here. Let's cut things here. Oh, but by the way, we're still going to raise the debt ceiling by $5 trillion so that we can keep spending.
There's a lot of stuff here, and when I looked even at Elon's comments, it's not that he's not saying stuff that I mean, at least in some cases, I agree with him, and I agree with what you were saying now. But at the same time, even though I agree with him, it doesn't always mean that the only solution is to say, "Okay, I'm starting a war against you." Maybe if you're Elon Musk, that's what you do. But I think that if you think about it more realistically, when it comes to how the political system works, I think that his approach probably can cause more damage than good, because if he's going to, let's say, build a third candidate, that third candidate could very well end up being a Ross Perot. Now, I'm never counting the guy out. I don't, I don't want to diminish his achievements or pretend that, he doesn't pull weight or he can't get interesting things done. But like you said, the way this system has been built with the two parties, very difficult with the third one. If there's a third one that's even noticeable or strong, usually just hurts the overall election. And at the end, it could end up that rather than getting, you know, one type of candidate, we're going to get like an AOC. So the question is, the question is, who is it that you want in that position, and how far
Yeah.
are you willing to go? And also, I wanted to tell you something else, and I kind of understand Elon's frustration. When I was young, I worked at a company, and I was sort of new there. I worked there for about a year, and I really wanted to prove myself. And people that were there and saw me like so gung ho and so like being a stickler for so many things, they told me, "Listen, you don't understand like kind of the inner politics here. You don't understand how things work here." And I didn't listen. I just wanted to continue to show what a great job I was doing. I kept on thinking of ways to make things more efficient. I don't want to say like Doge because it wasn't like a Doge situation exactly, but I wanted to show how the company was maybe wasting money on things that it didn't need to, how it could be like more efficient with spending and with like getting certain things done like at a cheaper rate. And I was so proud of my work, and I really did a lot of great things. But at the end of the day, the people that were at the top of the pyramid, they didn't share my excitement always. You know what I'm saying? Certain things that I was very excited about as a young guy trying to tell them all this stuff, the more experienced people there, they had their own politics, they had their own things going on, and some, young, arrogant, douchey guy that works there, however ambitious and trying to do stuff, wasn't exactly, always what they wanted. And at the end, I got really annoyed, and I ended up leaving that position in that company. We ended up parting ways, but it was also very much a me, getting upset and leaving because I felt like people weren't appreciating my work and all that stuff. Now, on a much multiply that by like a gazillion. I feel like Elon maybe felt something like that. He came maybe different because he first of all gave a lot of money for Trump's campaign, but then he came with Doge. He was really trying to do all these changes. He was trying to do all this stuff, but he didn't. And this is the only thing that's sort of similar. He didn't understand how the politics works. With all of his brain power and everything, he didn't fully understand how Washington works. And with all of the good intentions, at the end, there's certain things you got to get done, and sometimes compromises have to be made.
Yeah, yeah. And some people in the chat are talking about, the bill and that it's been, yeah, it's been read by people. But my point is, I would bet you there's not a single senator, not a single member of Congress who has read the bill from page one through the end.
Nobody's read it.
Not one. Now, there's been some people who've read some of it, and some people have read other parts of it. Some people wrote one part and wrote another part. And then there's also, most of it was read and written by interns. Let's just be honest. That's just how it works. Most of the time, whoever's reading it, there's somebody who's reading it, and then they're telling their boss what they found in it. Yes, I do know. Phantom Outsider saying before it was passed, Dims insisted the entire bill be read on the Senate floor. Yes, it was. Not everyone was there. Not everyone was actually there to listen to it be read. It was read out loud, but not everybody's there, and they're not listening to it either. So that's just that's the reality of it. It gets read mostly to an empty room, because they're not going to sit around for 14 hours or whatever, 8 hours, however, for it to be read. They're all going to step out and go find other things to do, go to dinner, go to whatever, while it's read aloud. That was simply a stalling tactic that was brought in by the Democrats to
For
force it to be
sure, for sure.
read out loud. And I will say I completely get why they are saying let's raise the debt ceiling. There are strategic reasons, politically strategic reasons to do that. Phantom Outsider was saying, they're wanting to do some, work with electric grid. That's going to take a lot of infrastructure money. That could be part of it. I know that one part of it is simply this: they want to take that off the table as something that the Democrats can use to hold back other legislation. we've seen this fight happen multiple different times up to this point. We've seen this fight between, sometimes it's the Republicans, sometimes it's Democrats, but they're like, nope, we're going to halt the debt ceiling, and that's going to shut down the government. They're taking that off the table for quite some time, hopefully, to say, nope, we're just, that's not going to be something now that we're going to allow to become an issue that could stall other legislation, shut down the government, whatever. Like, just go away. We're not going to deal with that anymore. There's a strategic reason to do that. But yeah, it's I'm mostly happy with everything that's in the big beautiful bill. From what I've read, the different summaries that I've read, the different check boxes. Obviously, I haven't sat down. I don't have time to sit down and read a 900 plus page bill, right? That's not something I've got time to do. And yes, that's why there's interns around. But at the same time, again, I think that the idea that we have people who are elected to go to help to write and pass that legislation who never even read it, I think that's kind of ridiculous, personally.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, and I like that when I told my story, people wrote if it was at a McDonald's. It was like, it wasn't a McDonald's, but it wasn't like the U.S. government. It wasn't the U.S. government either.
Yeah.
Uh, it was obviously a much smaller scale situation. But all I'm saying is that I can sort of, in some strange way, relate to being frustrated when you're trying to work within a company and you think you're doing some very good things and nobody appreciates it, and people see things a completely different way, or you get caught up in certain politics. That's something that could happen to you even in the corporate world. Do you get what I'm saying? You could run into things like that there. Elon is just used to being like the boss of everything and having all that money, and maybe he really is brilliant and he knows how to do that stuff. But I still think that applying that kind of logic to Washington, I don't know if you can do it. I
Yeah.
really hope that there. I kept hoping that maybe he kind of toned down his rhetoric, and maybe there was a way to stop this. It's not going to help his companies. It's not going to do well for all of his companies and everything that he does. Picking a fight with the government, I don't know. I don't know if to say you can't beat City Hall or whatever the saying is, but I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a strange flex, honestly. Just be like, oh, we're just going to start a new part. I'm just going to take my ball and leave. I'm going to, or whatever. Right. It's so odd. Like,
There is a lot of dick swinging. There is
yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
dick swinging.
there is so much dick swinging going on. It's kind of ridiculous.
Uh,
But,
it was nice while it lasted that they were actually getting along. I think most people thought that at some point there will be some kind of bump in the road. I just think that this somehow is worse than I thought it would be.
yeah. And I've been laughing at the mainstream media, the meltdowns that are happening. Ooh, so many people, they're going to be kicked off of their health insurance. They're not. No, they're going to have new eligibility requirements for for their healthcare. And yeah, some people are not going to be able to meet those unless they go get some work.
Let
And
me
some
see if
people are not going to be able to meet those because they're not citizens of the United States.
so. We had
So
this thing. I don't know if you can see it.
I can see it. Yeah, I can't hear it though.
Okay, let's see.
Leaving the Senate now. At the end of the vote, when the Republicans won, they cheered. They cheered over taking away health care from around 17 million people. They cheered over giving huge tax breaks to a handful of billionaires. They cheered over running up the national debt by another $3.5 trillion. You know, this bill is bad. It's bad economically. It's bad morally. This bill is just wrong. But we stay in the fight. We stay in the fight. We stay in the fight. And we proved why we stay in the fight, because actually there are pieces of this bill that we got better. We got the tax on solar and wind knocked out, and that's going to help with clean energy. We got a few different pieces and made them better. So that's reason number one. Is always the reminder. All of those calls matter. Reason number two is it's still not over. The bill has now got to go back over to the House. And there are a lot of Republicans who are feeling really squeamish about this bill at this point. So that means we got to stay in the fight. And reason number three is, yeah, they may do this now, but come November 2026, they're going to have to face the voters. They're going to have to face the people, the families of the people whose health care they took away. And they're going to have to explain exactly what they just did just now on the floor of the United States Senate and whatever they do next. So this is hard, but damn, we stay in the fight. We stay in it, not because it's an easy fight, not because we're guaranteed to win every time. We stay in it because it's the right fight.
She's so annoying. I mean, I sometimes think to myself that one of the reasons that Trump does well with voters in general and people underestimate him is that a lot of times, however he feels, he really just says what he thinks.
Oh yeah.
Even if it's the wackiest thing you've ever heard, you know that whatever he just said, he means it. Sometimes maybe it's one of those things that he has a maneuver that he's doing and maybe he doesn't mean it. But in a lot of cases, he'll just come out and say the weird crap that he really thinks. This lady, anytime I see her, forget about the politics and all the different things that, one can criticize. She comes off to me as very not authentic, like disingenuous or whatever you want to call it. Like it always seems like she's reading off a teleprompter, even when she's sitting in her car, making like the car video.
Oh yeah, the car video. It's great.
The on the fly car video. You just happened to catch her as she was like, driving around or whatever it is. But even that comes off as just very phony baloney. Like there's nothing real about the way she's speaking. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Well, literally the first thing that she mentions is, "Oh, they're going to add $3 trillion to the national debt." Do you know? Just take a little guess at how much has been added to the national debt since that woman took office.
Right.
Is it? How much do you think? Are you 8 trillion?
I don't know, but it's a lot.
It is 16.4 trillion, nearly doubling the amount of debt that we have as a country since she took office. We had 19.8 billion in debt when she took office. We've added 16.41 trillion since she took office. She does not get to say, "Oh, we're adding 3 trillion to the debt." No, she doesn't. You don't get to say that. You have helped pass trillions of dollars in debt spending, and you would keep doing it if you had the chance. So that, first of all, that is the dumbest argument I've ever heard from someone on the left, especially Elizabeth Warren. We're going to add money to that, and we're going to take people off of healthcare. Hey, guess how many people lost their healthcare? Lost their, their caregiver, lost their insurance under Obamacare. It's quite a few. And now they're forced into other plans that they didn't want that are more expensive. It's ridiculous. And yes, there are going to be some people who are no longer going to be allowed to have and carry the the Medicare. And there's going to be some people they're just going to have some new requirements in order for them to get Medicare. But we are not going to have, just because there's going to be whatever, they keep changing the number. It's 8 trillion, and then it's a 10 trillion, or 8 million, then it's 10 million, then it's 14 million, then it's whatever. There are not going to be that many people who are actually going to lose care. Many of them are just going to have changes in the requirements in order for them to still qualify. So it's just so overblown. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I can expect them to do that. That's what they usually do. So
it is.
I'd be surprised if there wasn't like an Elizabeth Warren video in her car complaining about stuff. But at the same time, can't really take that seriously. But I think that was a good representation for how, the Democrats are going to be talking about the bill. And again, it's not like I think everything about the bill is great, but that is something that I'll say, that they come off as very disingenuous. That party doesn't have one person that actually talks and seems just like a regular person. You know, you can also criticize things about Bill Clinton and even Barack Obama. I will say that they were pretty good speakers.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
one of the reasons that they got to where they got is because, with all of their flaws, and they certainly had them, if you put, like, in his prime, like a Bill Clinton in front of a podium to talk to a room of people, and I've heard actually people that have been in a room that he did like a speech or something like that, that they felt that he really felt the room. You know what I mean? There was something about
Mm-hmm.
the way he connected to people and understood what was going on. Like this kind of EQ, emotional intelligence type of thing. He had that. Same thing I could say with Barack Obama and speeches and how he would deliver these speeches. They had this kind of charisma, and they could sell a bunch of stuff. I wouldn't say that they came off as like. I still think Trump comes off as much more personal and like off the hip. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, shooting from the hip. Yeah.
Shooting from the hip or whatever it is. I don't think that like Bill Clinton or Obama gave that feeling, but I'll say that they still knew how to stand there and at least deliver some speech. I don't know who the Democrats have today that can actually deliver a speech. You have on one hand somebody like Gavin Newsom, that any word that comes out of his mouth, it is like you're dealing with like the most slippery, in my opinion, with the most slippery salesman ever. Like he just says one word and I'm already like, you're already on defense. You know what I'm saying? Like the trust is so low from this guy just speaking anything at all. And then you have all those kind of AOCs and Jasmine Crockett's and Elizabeth Warren and Nancy Pelosi. I mean,
Oh,
I say
just
what you want. Like, and again, I've always been sort of I never really associated myself with any party. So I was more open minded, but they really don't have a person that just seems like a person that can deliver a speech or say anything or not seem like an idiot.
mhm.
Just my opinion, of
Yeah.
course.
Oh, I mean their the Democrat Party at the moment is at perhaps his lowest approval rating ever. People don't want anything to do with them anymore. They're happily moving on to other things. And oh no, somebody in the YouTube chat mentioned Mom Donnie. Yeah, well, maybe we can talk about Mom Donnie a little bit later. Oh my God, what a disaster! Uh, so yeah, it's at this point the best they've got is like AOC and Gavin Newsom. That's pretty bad.
That is pretty bad. But yeah, we'll see. I never underestimate. You never know what'll happen. But those guys, to me, just
Oh sure.
they seem really low level to me. Anyhow, Elizabeth Quince was saying that that Elizabeth Warren was a diversity hire. I don't know if she qualifies for the
Oh no,
diversity.
she did. That's how she got many of her
Right, she said she was
got
a
into
Native
things. She
American,
said
but
she was part Native American. Yeah,
she doesn't
that's
look like she's part Native
no.
American.
Of course she doesn't, because she's not.
I mean, I could, if I was generous, maybe claim that I was like 10% of Spanish origin, but I don't really think I could. You know what I mean? Like, I would feel kind of weird if I went somewhere and said that. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like, I think that her being Native American was a real stretch. Did she even have anything to do with Native Americans, or is it just something that she thought was nice to put her on her application?
She used it to get ahead. She used it to get get jobs, to get professorial jobs at universities.
I just
She
wonder to myself when
Yeah.
they accepted her, like, when they sat with her and they're like, "You're Native American." She said, "Yep, I sure am."
Yep.
I would have wanted more info, like more context. How exactly are you Native American? But I guess those questions weren't asked. In any case, so yeah, I guess people are going to be unhappy, and Elon Musk. I still kind of hope that Elon Musk uh, finds a way to get off the ladder that he's climbed on. I don't think it's good for anybody. And in the big picture, I know he thinks that what he's doing is a big help, but I'm not sure that it is. Uh, I, I I think that it's good that he bought X. I think he's done a lot of positive things, but I'm not sure this is positive. That's just my opinion. And I'm not saying in this kind of hateful way, you know what I mean? I'm not like, oh, deport him or anything. Like, I'm saying, like, I don't know. Like, he has companies and stuff. I don't know that politics is his, like, field of expertise. He's
Yeah.
too kind of, like, calculated and logical, and his mind works in a way that I don't know that politics is exactly the thing that complements his way of thinking.
Yeah, I I see like the way that he thinks sometimes, and like the snap judgments that he makes and stuff like that, and I can really see that autism, ADHD kind of thing coming out, whatever whatever it is that he claims, you know, neurodiversity wise, that it's like, oh well, because it's not 100%, it's not good enough. It's not exactly what I was talking about, so I can't see a way to sort of square the circle on this or something. It's really odd, and I do like Elon. I like that he kind of says what he means most of the time. He tends to be very upfront, and I think he genuinely has ideas about how he thinks this country ought to be run, and ways that to make things better. But at the same time, that it doesn't work like a company. You can't just step up to the plate and say, okay, we're doing it this way today, right? You can't just walk in and tell the board, oh, I know I just threw all that stuff away and we're going to do it differently. It it takes compromise. It takes working with different people with different ideas and finding ways to make those compromises so that we take a step towards getting something better than what we had before. It doesn't just, you can't just flip a switch. It's never going to work like that, especially with a divided government, with only 51 votes in the Senate. Typically, you're a lot of stuff, you can get some things passed, but other things that you're never going to get them through with needing a 60 vote margin, and especially if there's not some compromise that's there. So it's I like Elon. I do. I think he is a fairly genuine guy for the most part, but at the same time, I'd say, yeah, maybe this isn't your gig, Elon.
Y- Politics and high tech companies are two very different things.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not underestimating him, not underestimating his money and the type of influence he could have on things if he wanted. I'm just saying that overall, at the end of the day, if he wanted to be president, he can't because the law doesn't allow him to. So if that's something that he wanted, he couldn't do it. And even if he could, I don't think that he is the right man for that job. I think that as a high tech, quirky, eccentric, brilliant guy, I think he's good. And I think that the political arena, I don't think is great for him. But that's my personal opinion. Time will tell what happens. In addition, we had some other stuff going on with Trump, and that's what, it's just like so many things were happening today. So we also had this situation that, in theory at least, he was claiming that, let me see if I can find it. We had this situation here. I'm finding it right now. Okay. So basically, he claims that he was able to negotiate some type of potential ceasefire in Gaza. I don't think this thing is finalized, and I think that even by his rhetoric here, it's unclear what the Hamas are saying about all of this. And since they themselves are very, to put it mildly, very difficult to deal with, and very complicated to deal with this situation. I don't know where it's all going to lead to, but it feels like he's trying to do something at least, and really putting a lot of pressure on a lot of different people.
Yeah, they've been working on this for a while, and it's not just been us. As it mentions there, it mentions Qataris and the Egyptians that have also been working to try and move this forward. This, we need to find some way to peace over there. And I also, they've been also working with the Saudis, trying to find a way to get them involved with helping potentially to help rebuild in Gaza. But all of that, all of that is going to fall back on Hamas, whether or not they're going to be allowed to remain in power.
There's also the situation with the hostages. So basically,
yes,
they would have to return the hostages. And also a lot of these other countries were saying that they would be involved in something about policing this place or doing something. I don't know how this is all going to play out. It's certainly a very complicated situation, so don't really know how to tell you, to tell you what'll happen. It would be nice if hostages were released. That would be something positive.
That will definitely be part of whatever deal that Trump is behind. There will be a full and complete release of any hostages still being held by Hamas. That's not going to be something that he will even negotiate on. I'm betting. Yeah.
Karate Werewolf. I love that name.
I guess I know
great.
you like that handle.
Yeah. Marla Sharandoff, how's it going?
I noticed that our YouTube chat hasn't been messed up by their the testing they've been doing. We're still getting to see everyone's regular names that they've chosen instead of forcing their channel names in there instead with the @ symbols. God, it's so irritating when I've been in a couple of chats in this last week, and it's like, oh, this is hideous. Please, you. I understand that they're like, oh, well, everyone has to be themselves. They have to use their channel names. And it's like, but some of them are really terrible because there's so many channel names that are already gone. Like, and we know everyone by their names. And anyway,
I'm not 100% sure what you're talking about. What happened with channels?
Oh, you haven't seen this?
No, I don't know
Okay,
what
so
you're
they've
saying.
been doing some testing, and they've been doing some of the chats in some of the different channels. Now, it doesn't show it hasn't been showing their the name that they give, like instead of like Karate Werewolf, it would have like the actual like the handle that they gave their channel.
Oh, so if it's like
Karate Werewolf 22578 or whatever his
right, or then sometimes it's just a completely different handle. It's just like
something completely different, and then you can't
Mr.
Karate Werewolf says it looks like maybe they stopped tonight, so maybe they've
Oh.
gone back to some other testing or something. But yeah, there's been a couple chats I was in when we were in the chat with when I was there with in Mr. Brown's chat on Sunday. Everything was all he couldn't tell who was who because all of the regular names were gone, and all was there was the @ symbols with the channel names in it, and it was
I
really
did not
hard.
realize that. I wasn't aware, didn't know.
Yeah.
But interesting. Well, now it looks okay. At least I can.
Yeah, it looks like it's back. Maybe they got a lot of nasty feedback from that, but I know that. Yeah, it's something they've been wanting to do for a while. I think because they think it's going to make it, it's going to make it harder for people to fake being someone else or whatever. But at the same time, it's like seeing all of those really wacky names that are in there with a bunch of numbers and all sorts of stuff is. Ugh.
Speaking of somebody pretending to be somebody else, just a friend of the channel, Robot Head, today something happened where somebody hijacked his channel.
Yep.
And I noticed that the person that hijacked it started like doing this stream about like crypto, one of those crypto scams. They like took his thing, did a live stream, and they were talking about all this like crypto stuff. YouTube seemed to have pulled a plug on it. I am very, very hopeful that they're working with him to get his channel back. That would be, you put so much work into something like that, and he has a big channel, and for some person to just hijack it and start streaming some weird crypto scam, man, that's really, really, I mean, yes, there's worse things happening in the world, I suppose, but if you really care about your YouTube channel and you are a creator, that's really a terrible feeling. So, hope everything works out for
Yeah, I'm sure
Joe
he'll.
Budden.
I think he's gotten through to some of the right people. If they were shutting down some illegitimate streams and stuff, then they're on the way to get him his channel back.
That's what I'm hoping.
Just a reminder, everybody: 2-factor authentication. Make sure you're turning on 2-factor authentication. Make sure you've got solid passwords. Make sure you've got 2-factor authentication. And yeah, if you need to, use a password manager or something to memorize all those passwords. Because yeah, it's not particularly difficult to take over someone's channel or steal someone's email address or anything like that. If you're not doing the work to make sure that gets protected, all it takes is getting phished one time, and sometimes they can be real tricky.
Yeah, and also, I don't know if you noticed that in the past, I think maybe we did bring it up. It's already been a number of days and so much happens every day. But when Trump was saying something that like he didn't have time now for Israel to try to file charges against Bibi Netanyahu with his cigars and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I was telling you that I believe that he's behind the scenes working on different deals and stuff. And in Trump's eyes, this whole thing that they're now trying to bring him to court, it seems like a nuisance. And he's really, been very vocal about it. I think they even delayed. They're like, fine, we won't call him to court for now. Like, I don't know if they probably will at a later point, but it's been delayed a bit just because I think Trump got upset, which is really a bizarre situation. But that is in fact what's happening, and let's just see what happens. I mean, I don't know that it's easy to do peace in the Middle East, but there have been a lot of wars for a while now, for a few years. It would be nice if there was a way to, give the region some quiet, even if it's. I usually don't believe these quiet things last forever, but if there was like 5 to 10 years of quiet, that sure would be nice.
Yeah, sure would be. I mean, let's be honest. More than anything, I would love for the people of Gaza to be able to have normal lives, to be able to live and work and take care of their families, not have, people digging tunnels under their buildings and using their hospitals as a place to launch rockets, and so that they can protect their positions because they don't want because they don't give a damn about civilian casualties. I would like for the people of that area to be able to live their lives and not have to worry about all of the activities that have been going on, and many of them not even really sanctioned by the people that live there, right? A lot of them really do just want that. They just want to be able to live a life, worship how they want to, and just not have anything to do with the people that make them angry. They just want to live their lives, right? But in that area has been controlled by the people who love watermelons for quite some time.
Yes.
And unfortunately, there's also just a lot of people who have been, programmed to believe certain things,
A
and
complete brainwashing.
especially the children. We're talking about, if you've done any research and looked at some of the stuff that has to do with like the UNWRA schools that were there, that literally we're talking about schools that are financed by the UN that were teaching all sorts of awful things.
I
right?
mean, it's even worse. They have like their type of Sesame Street or whatever it is
Yeah.
like whatever you think. Like if I showed you their Sesame Street, and you've probably seen maybe videos of it, you would think that it was some kind of late night parody, like that adults made in order to just like laugh as a joke. But it's not a late night parody, and whatever you're looking at, that they're encouraging little kids to be like, bad, that's real. That's not like some parody. That's not
Mhm.
something. They actually have the, wacky, bizarro Sesame Street going on there. And and yeah, and you were saying about programmed, and that's really a big problem there, is that I think a lot of the population has been brainwashed for generations. It's not easy to kind of change that programming and change the culture. In a perfect world, you're saying, well, they're being oppressed. It would be great if they weren't oppressed. But I think that at this point, if now all they know, all the only reality they know is that there's some guys walking around that are these kind of militants and they're radical and all that stuff, and that's their culture. If you remove those guys, other guys may just come take their plates. Like, I don't know that these people will understand that there could be something else. Even in Iran now, when you had all these things going on, you'd think that maybe some of the people would be like, okay, we've had it. We want a democracy here. We're toppling this, we're toppling that. But most of them were just kind of quiet because they don't know anything else. They're just like living under the regime and in that reality. And even there, it's been like 50 years. I don't know. Maybe only the very old people can remember a time when there was like freedom in Iran. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. It's that's sad, honestly. It's depressing thinking about that, like those people just living under such oppression for so long. And I think it is important that we do recognize a difference between the government and the people in many different places. And it's yeah. Ah, jeez.
Empress and Em is saying
Depressing
even
stuff.
some people in the West can't correctly identify what oppression is these days. What a mess. I agree. And then somebody said it was like TV Funhouse, but sinister. Yes, that's the thing. It's like they'll have
Yeah.
like a Big Bird type of character
Yeah.
walking around, but that character is going to explain to kids like to do the most terrible things, and the kids are like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, here's my rocket," and they're all like clapping, and
Yeah.
you're like,
And so that
"Man,
I will say that was not Palestinian Sesame Street. It was a similar thing. There is actually a show that's actually sort of like branded as Sesame Street. Like there's actual ties back to
okay."
the
Even
original
if it
show.
wasn't,
So
if it wasn't.
that one has actually been known to promote tolerance and positive relations between different groups. So there's a different one that translated into English, I think, is called Tomorrow's Pioneers. That
Maybe.
one is a children's show. It is made by Hamas and was
Right.
aired
Yeah.
on the Al Aqsa TV in
Yes,
there, and
exactly.
it did have like very anti-Semitic, violent, like glorifying martyrdom and stuff type messages in it.
Crazy as shit.
It's oh yeah,
Crazy.
it's insane, insane. Like you're showing this to kid. Wow. Okay. It's just
Right. And it says a lot about the culture there. And if you live in this reality, it's really hard to imagine that there's a different type of reality. So whatever happens there is going to be a very complicated solution and very complicated situation. But I mean, all I can do is be hopeful. I mean, I would hope that something good would happen. And I would like it if the hostages were released. I think, imagine that if those hostages were released, that would have been a big, that would have really helped in maybe creating a path to some kind of ceasefire or something much earlier. But these guys, they're not keen on releasing these hostages.
well, no, it's leverage for them.
Right. I mean,
And
each time that they had like, they were in certain situations that maybe they were like with their backs to the wall, whatever you want to call it, they made some deals and they released some here and some there, and there were different ceasefires. But this final batch that they have, even this whole thing of like piecemeal, just giving another one, really, I mean, I could see how that would be frustrating for families and people that are hoping that whatever loved ones are still alive would get back to them. So yeah, I mean, we'll have to see how all of this plays out. But if Trump can do something, influence something that'll be helpful in that department, I think that would probably be appreciated by a lot of people. We'll have to see how it plays out.
Yep. I think it is definitely something that the current administration has been extremely keen on making happen, and they've been bringing in a lot of help from other countries as well. And I think that's really good news. If this were simply being brokered by the U.S., I think it would have trouble, just like many of the previous efforts to form some sort of lasting peace over there. But bringing in, especially partners like Egypt, potentially even the Saudis, I think that's going to go a long way to trying to form something that's much more stable in Gaza, especially with some of the different parties to this have basically said, "Hey, we're coming in. We'll do all of this stuff. We'll put in this money. We'll do this work. We'll be part of this solution." Hamas can't be part of that. Like
I would
it
think
cannot be part of the government. It has to go.
I would think that
So
you're right, and I
yeah,
hope that everybody can make this happen somehow. But it's not always as easy as it seems. So
yep.
I am curious to see what happens. That's all I can say. And on a completely different topic, Professor, did you know that today was Margot Robbie's birthday?
Oh boy, Margot Robbie's birthday. Well, happy birthday, Margot Robbie. Um, you're kind of hot.
You
Like
know,
she's not
I
my
think
favorite out there, but she's good looking.
she's good looking. I think that what happened is that initially she kind of was she looked nice and she also kind of embraced that and she seemed really fun.
Yeah.
But then that whole kind of Me Too movement came out and I feel like she started thinking, "Oh, like how do I become this big feminist?" And like a lot of these actresses, and I don't love that. You know what I'm saying? It's fine you could be a feminist, but I mean, on one hand, you want to make like a career and really rise to the top and being that everybody thinks that you're hot. And then like once you get there, you're like, no, I'm not hot, I'm a feminist. Like, what is that, the bait and switch? Do you get what I'm saying? This is the kind of bait and switch that I don't appreciate.
Oh my goodness.
And,
Yeah.
and speaking of bait and
No.
switch, and this actually has to do with our thumbnail, is that I asked if like Scarlett Johansson is going to save like Hollywood with Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah, that's the estimates keep fluctuating on what that's going to look like when it opens this weekend. So
Let's see, Jurassic Park, Jurassic World box office. Let's see. So yeah, they keep changing it. I'm going to share this tab now. So box office, Jurassic World Rebirth aims for 100 million over July 4th holiday. See, here's the thing. These movies, I honestly, and I was talking about it before with some people over on Midnight Sedge After Dark, that I am not the biggest fan of all of these Jurassic movies. I thought that Jurassic Park, the
no.
original, was a really good movie. It was a game changer when it came to what could be done in movies. The combination of some practical effects along with the digital effects and how they were utilized was really something at that moment in time. And until this day, I still think that movie is put together in a way that's good. It deserves the praise it gets. I still think it's a good movie. The sequels, even to the park, I was never the biggest fan of. Jurassic World came along. I kind of was okay with it because it was sort of just a remake of the original one, but just a little different and a little more modern, and I didn't hate it. But the two sequels, I didn't feel were all that spectacular. And if anything, I felt that this franchise needed a rest. I really didn't feel like I needed another movie. How did you feel about it?
The first one was really good. I still enjoy going back and watching the first Jurassic Park. That movie was so well done. And Okay. And then
Sorry
I
about that.
getting text messages during the show. No, I really did enjoy that first one. The second one was a total letdown. The third one, it had its good parts. I liked that they tried to go back to the first book and kind of bring in some of the story that they sort of took out. You know, some of the stuff they took out of the first book, brought that back. But then, it was never as good as the first one. So then, when they came back with Jurassic World, I wanted to give it a shot. Jurassic World was all right. I didn't love it, but I enjoyed it. If you know what I mean. Enjoyed the ride, but afterwards, it's kind of like
Absolutely.
lots of nitpicky things I didn't like about it, and some of the performances not great, and some of the just kind of doing the same thing over again. Just like, oh look, they did that in Jurassic Park, so they're gonna do that here. Then the second one was Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. I don't remember. Jurassic World, we're going to go back to this dumb, stupid idea of using dinosaurs as weapons thing. That one was awful. I'll tell you how bad that movie was. My wife walked out on it. My wife doesn't usually walk out on anything.
Are you saying Jurassic World 2?
The second Jurassic World.
Okay.
Whatever, Jurassic World's, whatever that was, the second one. We were sitting around and she was like, this is just the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Why are we still watching this? And finally she's like, I have chores to do. Like, left. Like, I have other stuff to do around that. I'm gonna go wash dishes instead of watch this garbage. It was so bad. Fallen Kingdom. Yes, that was it.
Fallen
That was
Kingdom.
it.
I
Fallen Kingdom.
will say one thing about Fallen Kingdom. I had a similar process that you went through with your wife that I watched it, and initially I didn't see it in the theater. This Fallen Kingdom, which is actually not good because you probably better see it in theater. Maybe it's at least nice to see some dinosaurs on screen. The movie really, like you said, it seemed kind of boring and tedious to watch, and I think I stopped around the halfway mark. And some people I know that are more enthusiasts of these kind of dinosaur movies and Jurassic Park told me, hey, give it a chance, just watch it until the end. Maybe you'll like it a bit more. And after a lot of pressure, I actually sat down and watched it until the end. It did get better in sort of the second and third act, like gradually get a little better. At the end of the day, still not a strong movie. I was able to get through it after like convincing and I accepted it for what it was.
No.
But yeah, I mean, really, the original Jurassic Park, they've never been able to recreate that magic. The original first one from the 90s, never been able to recreate that. Jurassic World, that first one, I could put up with it. But I generally agree.
Yeah, the second one, Fallen Kingdom. Yeah, someone said, is that the one with the clone? I was interested in him, asked which one had the clone. Yes, that was the second one where you find out that yes, he used the technology to clone his daughter,
his granddaughter, or something.
And it, and then she just decides to literally kill millions of people by unleashing the dinosaurs onto.
I was a bit confused about that. I don't know why she let it out, and
it's just
strange. Yes.
Oh, it's like, oh well, I feel for them because they're clones and I'm a clone, so I'm going to let them out so they can go out and live their lives, terrorizing the population of the United States and elsewhere, and killing probably millions. Yeah, great job, kid. Good job. That was massively stupid. And again, there was the whole just dumb thing with the whole idea. Oh, let's weaponize dinosaurs. We're going to sell them as soldiers. It's like, it costs so much money to make these damn clone dinosaurs, raise them, train them, everything. It's like, I'm sorry, but you're going to spend 1/millionth of the amount of money that you're going to spend on that dinosaur to use it as a weapon than to just train one soldier, right? Or fly a drone with a grenade attached to it or something. Like, the whole idea of weaponizing dinosaurs is a terrible idea. It's so dumb, and they keep going back to it, not just in Jurassic Park, but other movies and stuff as well. Like, we're gonna weaponize dinosaurs. It's It's just so dumb. It's so incredibly dumb.
That's the thing though that I feel, and I feel strongly about this. I feel like sometimes you have movies that you could see as a series, or you could see them making a lot of sequels. Jurassic Park, to me, always felt like not that kind of thing. It almost feels like it needed one movie. It didn't need a million of them. Maybe after years you could put up with Jurassic World, that first one. Like I said, it's just kind of a rehash. But to start taking in all these other directions, I don't know why it doesn't really work for me, at least not in the way that I've seen until today. And I don't know if you've seen Dominion. I
I
actually,
I I've seen some clips of it. I didn't care to watch it at all.
honestly, I put it on sometime and I watched like a good portion of it, and I think I dozed off maybe somewhere nearing the third act. And I didn't even go back to watch it. I wanna go back and watch the end before I watch Rebirth. It's not gonna make a difference because I think Rebirth doesn't actually claim to continue that movie, but I'm just curious as to what they did with Dominion, because I should watch, like, the final 30 or 40 minutes of it. But man, I don't know, those movies kind of bore me at this point. And I think that in the context of this thing with Scarlett Johansson, I've heard some people say, even one guy I know that's told me that he's seen an early screening of it, and he was pleasantly surprised by it. That he thought it was better than some of these other uh, sequels we got. But I don't know that the hunger of the audience is there.
No, I really don't. Sorry, I was taking a drink. Yeah, no, I don't. I don't know that people really care that much about saying this, especially like they said. Well, kids like dinosaurs. Kids want to go see. I don't know about that. Especially like this one is just all about like mutant dinosaurs. They're not the same dinosaurs that kids grew up with enjoying. They're aside from the T Rex. There's always got to be a T Rex somewhere.
Phobos has something very serious to share. He says you can tell which movie it is by how heavy Bryce Dallas Howard is. Mean but true. Uh, she does gain weight from movie to movie. Uh,
Mhm.
I mean, I'll give her that she's still a pleasant looking lady, even when she's a little heavier. But as I always say here, and I've said it before, you know, I think that if you're a person, I don't care if you're a man or if you're a woman, if you're a person and somebody is paying you a ton of money, millions of dollars, to be in a movie where moviegoers are coming in there, and if you're a pleasant looking woman or man, whoever came to see this movie would rather see you kind of in top form. I think that getting into that top form with the millions of dollars you've been given is a reasonable thing to expect. I'm not saying, I don't know if it's always easy and maybe people have problems, all this stuff. I don't know all the ins and outs and if it applies to everybody. But generally speaking, I think that that's the way it works. There's like a unspoken agreement. You got millions of dollars, you come to the set looking like your best.
Yeah, uh, it would seem to me that if that's your job, then you go out and do the work for it, right?
Right. I
Like
mean,
it's your job to look good on screen. So what you do is you spend time making sure that when you're on screen, you look good.
that's the way it is. Yeah.
That's always been how it is in Hollywood. You know what? They can do all the body positivity BS that they want, whatever. People, women, men, they still want to see attractive people on screen, right? They still want to see people who that they might aspire to be on screen. Yes, occasionally there's a big star they can get away with having a unique look, maybe not attractive, but having a unique very very character to look to them. There's especially men. There's always been actors that especially comedians really that can get along with being overweight, but it's body positivity, whatever, fine. Guess what? Lizzo lost weight, so can you. Okay.
I mean, let's look at Chris Pratt.
Oh yeah, Chris Pratt, man. Like he
Chris,
he put in the work like crazy.
yeah, they said, "Hey, do you want to be like an action hero in Jurassic World?" And he's like, "Sure, of course I would." And then he went to the gym and he went from looking like,
Yeah.
the way he looked, which was, I guess, fine for kind of a comedian guy. He went and he's like, "That's it. I'm gonna look my best for this role," and it's fine. That's
Yeah.
cool. You know what I mean? Like that's I actually respect that he did that. I mean, he understands that if he's going to be getting that kind of money to be like a leading star in a certain type of movie, then
Yeah.
you have
It,
to look
uh,
see like this is another
yeah.
before and after.
Yeah. It really started with actually really started with him getting his role in Zero Dark 30. Do you remember that film?
Is that the one with Osama that they found or something?
Yes. Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
it's he got that role in Zero Dark 30, which was, yeah, the manhunt for, Osama bin Laden.
Right.
And, it really started there because they offered him this opportunity, and yeah, he was like, "I'm in." And then when, he started talking to, some of the actual soldiers and stuff like that, he was like, "Man, these guys are like freaking superheroes." So, like, he really did want to get in shape. Not quite not quite the shape that he was in by the time he got to Guardians a couple years later, but he really wanted to make sure he was in shape for that role. He didn't want to embarrass the Marines, right? Like the people that he was playing. So but anyway, yeah, the once Guardians came along, like he realized, yeah, I'm going to be a superhero, whatever. So he's, we're going to keep it up, and then it just continued on from there. Like he's wanted to, stay
Right.
stay in shape, make sure he looks good for the camera when he's out
I
there
mean, he's almost
in
a
those
different
roles.
person. He ended
Yeah.
up losing so much weight that he left his wife.
Yeah, that's there was a whole thing. I don't know what happened with the two of
I
them.
can tell you what happened. I can tell you what happened.
You can tell me what happened with them, okay?
This is me speculating, of course. It's speculation. But if you married a woman and she married you and you're the guy on the left, okay? There's nothing wrong with that, but she was kind of this quirky, comedian lady. He was a quirky comedy guy. They seemingly were a good couple. Then he ends up looking like the guy on the right. And suddenly all these ladies, that probably in the past wouldn't have maybe noticed him are all kind of smiling and all waving at him. And I feel like at the end, it's more complex than that. It's more
Yeah.
complex than that. But still, you can't completely ignore the sort of change in I don't know if like in power balance, like a balance. You
Yeah.
got
Well, and I think part of that is too that, at the time, having been married for a while to somebody, and now suddenly he was incredibly successful, like big time, very 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 big time. Whereas was Anna Faris, was that his first wife, right? I think. Uh,
Anna Faris is cute,
yeah,
but once when you're this kind of A-lister guy walking around and all like the hottest models are all like, "Hey,
yeah,
Chris, what up?" I think that at some point, somehow, it kind of creates like an interference in whatever balance you had
yeah, yeah,
in
and
your
and so
marriage.
yeah, that changed, and then there were. I remember at the time when they were going kind of. There were rumors and stuff that potentially there had been an affair, or maybe just a quote unquote emotional affair, or whatever. At the time, was it the movie? It was Passengers, right? That was with
People
Jennifer
thought
Lawrence.
that was one time, but there was also
Yeah,
something that somebody thought. There was a rumor that his wife thought that he was having an affair with Olivia Munn. The thing is, and I'm not saying that Olivia Munn was guilty of this. It's just funny because later she did actually have an affair with John Mulaney.
yeah,
I'm not pinning it on her. I'm just saying that her track record would show that she's at least open-minded to such a situation. Is that a fair thing to say, or am I a douche again, Professor?
yeah, that's you know. Uh,
I am the biggest douche,
if somebody's
the
willing
biggest
to
douche of the night owl.
cheat on their spouse, and if someone's willing to be the other woman, that tends to be, well, I don't know.
Wasn't there a movie once where Natalie Portman was the other woman, and it was called the movie was called The Other Woman, and then I think it's some guy, and he gets together with Natalie Portman, and he leaves his wife, maybe, which was Susan Sarandon, who had some terminal disease. Am I making this up, or was there? I just made up like the dumbest movie ever, or that movie exists. Does the other
There,
woman exist?
there,
Anybody in the chat? Does the
yes,
other?
yes, it does. Yes,
It do-
Natalie Portman and Lisa Kudrow.
Lisa Kudrow,
Yes,
not Susan Sarandon.
no, not seeing
Oh.
Susan Sarandon here. I'm seeing Natalie Portman, Lisa Kudrow as the two
Oh,
leads.
okay. Sorry. Sorry. Well, you know
That's
what?
all right.
But what's the synopsis? What happens in this movie?
Let's see.
Is one of them
Natalie
terminally
Portman
ill?
is a young lawyer in New York with a short time. Seeing her life become a tragedy. Vilified as a homewrecker, she attracts the unyielding ire of Jack's furious ex-wife, who is revealed to also be pregnant. I'm not
Elizabeth
seeing
Hughes says
anything about
Natalie
her being
Portman is a
sick.
professional husband stealer. Wasn't there something where okay, is there a movie with Natalie Portman and Susan Sarandon?
Let's see.
Oh, it's Anywhere But Here. That shitty movie. Is Anywhere But Here the one that she lives in a Walmart?
Oh
No, I'm totally like
no,
everything. I'm like short circuiting on Natalie Portman's shitty movies.
there's
Was okay.
unfortunately there's a lot of them.
Wait. Was there a movie that Natalie Portman lives in the wall at a Walmart? Tell me that I'm not crazy. I
Let's
feel like
see.
I'm off my game today. Was there a movie that she lives at a Walmart?
Where the Heart Is.
Yes. What
Pregnant
happens?
17-year-old abandoned by her boyfriend at a Walmart store who ends up secretly living in the store.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
yeah, actually,
I
you know, I think I've seen part of this. I think I might have caught this on like HBO or something because this is from 2000. I
uh
think I might have seen some of this. Yeah.
mistakes were made here on the Night Owl, and I accept that I didn't fully. I may have misplaced a few of Natalie Portman's movies, but she did live in a Walmart. And then there was one, I don't know why. Then maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's a movie with Julia Roberts and Susan Sarandon that the one woman is going to die and the other one she's like, "You stole my husband, but I'm going to die, so why don't you help my daughter?" Man, there must have been a movie like this. There must have been. Susan Sarandon and Julia Roberts. This is going to bother me unless we find this professor. Julia Roberts movie. Uh, okay. Are you ready?
Okay,
Are
go
you
for it.
ready for this? Stepmom with Julia Roberts and Susan Sarandon and Ed Harris. And then there's something about her being a stepmom, but then there's something. I don't feel like reading through all of this. Is there something here? Okay. Something about her dying. Okay.
What was the name of this?
Okay, Stepmom. It's with Julia Roberts and Susan Sarandon, where there's a similar kind of setup that some Ed Harris is marrying a younger lady, I guess, to Julia Roberts. He dumped his wife. I don't know if it was a home wrecking situation. I'm not going to read that much into it. But what happens is that Susan Sarandon's character, it ends up that she has some kind of terminal disease, and she's going to die. So then at the end they bond because like at the end of the day, as much as Susan Sarandon doesn't like Julia Roberts, she still wants her to be there to, you know. Here, the film stars Julia Roberts, Susan Sarandon, and Ed Harris. Its plot follows a terminally ill woman dealing with her ex-husband's new lover, who will soon be their children's stepmother. Did you ever hear of this movie?
No. I generally avoid Susan Sarandon like the plague. I think she's terrible.
I agree with you. I've never been a huge fan of hers, and in more recent years, with all the nonsense that she talks, I'm even less of a fan. I will say that I met her once. Only spoke to her briefly for a few seconds. At the time, it was before the later years. It was probably like 10 years ago, before a lot of the wacky stuff that she said in more recent years. so I didn't know any better. I'm like, oh, it's Susan Sarandon. But now I'd be like, oh, ew, like
Yeah. Ugh.
EW, it's
Why
Susan
would I want to see
Sarandon.
that?
But yeah, I did actually meet her once. So again, 1 minute, just it was at a cocktail party. Yes. Anyhow, how did we get to all of this? What were we talking about? My stepmother
Scarlett
didn't.
Johansson saving cinema with the new Jurassic Park film. Yeah, I think we were talking about different Jurassic Park films,
Oh,
and we
okay,
got
okay, yes.
talking about
Scarlett
actors.
Johansson saving Hollywood. Hold on. Granola Grin says My Stepmother is an Alien is much better. That is a good movie. I thought that what's his face? I thought that Kim Basinger was excellent in that movie, and I don't know. I really enjoyed it. That's a movie that I like. Portman and Sarandon were in Anywhere But Here. Ace Hansen got it. Yeah, there was a movie like that. I I uh I made some mistakes here, but you guys all understood what I meant. Anyhow, back to this Jurassic Park thing. You know, one thing that I think didn't help is Scarlett Johansson really recently has been really overdoing it with oh, I used to be like a sex object, like people treated me like a piece of meat. It's like, lady, you built a whole career where you have like 100 or hundreds of millions of dollars because people thought like you look nice. Sure, you're okay as an actress, but the looking nice was like an important part of this whole situation. It really bothers me that like ladies that build a whole career and fortune doing one thing get up one day and they're all bitter about it. I don't like this shift. This like, oh, like, and I said it about Margot Robbie. I feel that way about Scarlett Johansson. And I'm not going to say she's as bad as her, but she's like following in the footsteps of like an Alyssa Milano.
Mm-hmm.
Alyssa Milano made her whole kind of career based on the fact that, you know, men liked her first, you know, as like a teenage pinup for teenagers when she was like on Who's the Boss, later for like people in their, you know, 20s or something when she was like on Melrose Place, and then later maybe for people in their 30s when she was like on Charmed or whatever it was. And she made a lot of money off of a male audience when it comes to merchandising, when it comes to sponsorships, when it comes to conventions. She made all of this money. And then as soon as she was like in her 40s and started feeling that maybe she's not in that same place anymore, that people, you know, see her differently now, or she's not like that hot young lady or whatever it is, immediately like she's this seventh wave radical feminist. So I'm not saying that Scarlett Johansson is as bad, but she has been blabbing a lot lately about all this like feminism stuff, and I don't know why it kind of annoys me.
Well, I think we would just rather our actors and actresses just get up there and do their jobs and then go home and stay off social media and then come back on the next film and do their job and do it well and then shut their mouths and stay off social media. And then maybe they can just be this same, mysterious thing that they used to be back in the day when we had, we had all these actors that we didn't know anything about how they lived their lives because they didn't spend every minute of their day telling us about it or their politics or anything else. Right.
She she seems relatively quiet. She doesn't do a lot of social media stuff. She's more quiet, and I actually like that about her. But I will say that in more recent years, she's too much been like blabbing about the her being like objectified and things like that. It's like, lady, you know, I would be very happy if you told me like that I could have a few $100 million and be very successful in my field, and the trade-off is that women, you know, I have to be in shape all the time and look good, and women go to the movies and they think, wow, we love this guy, this guy's the best. uh, I don't have an issue with that. I'll take the hundreds of millions of dollars and the ladies thinking that I'm great. I'll take all of that. I you know, yes, maybe your privacy is sometimes compromised, maybe there's some downsides to it, but it's a trade-off that I'm willing to put up with. You know what I'm saying? I would accept the trade off in this situation. And her blabbing about this stuff just is annoying.
Oh, Elizabeth Quince has some feedback for you.
Before we do that, let me look at that. But I see that Istophobos also gave a gift here. Let's see, what did Elizabeth Quinn say, and then we'll get to that. Let me explain this to Price. Many women who make their careers on their looks simply cannot take aging well. It is true for many beautiful women. We have not learned to age well in the West. The thing is that it's not a matter of like aging well. It's just like, I don't think that people are going to be mean to you because you aged, or you may not look like you did in the past, but there's still a graceful way where you could still present yourself gracefully and still, you don't have to be all bitter about it all the time. You know what I mean? These ladies that hit something in their 40s and they become all bitter. It's just like, as a man, I feel like this bitterness is not appealing. That's just my personal
Not
opinion.
really, no. Not particularly appealing.
I know this makes me seem like a douche that I said all of this. Like I said, I am the douche of the Night Owl. So Istophobos gave 5 Price of Reason Live gift memberships. Istophobos is a friend of the channel, and we are very, very grateful. Thank you, Istophobos. Thank you for just
thank you.
For what you do just in general for the channel, and thank you for this.
Oh, and Melvin Deeply got a gift membership. Now he'd be able to show up on our member streams, Price.
Oh, absolutely. And Melvin loves that. If there's one guy that loves the Night Owl hanging out with us and arriving at the streams, it's Melvin Deeply. And Marla Sharendorf says, another dinosaur movie. How many are there? I think that this would be the 7th one.
Make 7.
Yeah, and back to this thing that we were talking about. I've heard from some people that at least this movie tries to do something a bit different. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if it's going to help. Personally, though, I do think that the movie is probably going to make back its money. The budget, depending on who you ask, but I'll go for the higher estimate. Let's say something like $225 million. That means that they need 450 would be 2, but then you need another 100, which is 575. If nothing else, I think that this movie has a shot of breaking even in the theater. I mean, that's what happens when you have a movie that's so expensive, but I'm saying it has a chance of making back its money in the theater worldwide, and then once it gets to streaming and those streaming deals, maybe they can make a few extra dollars, and it could be sort of another movie in the once you have a series like Jurassic Park and people like that and watch these movies, it'll be another movie for them to watch. And over the years, it could continue to generate some money. So I have a feeling that they're not going to lose money on it. But if they were hoping for like $1 billion movie, I don't think this is making $1 billion worldwide.
No, I don't think it's going to get anywhere close. I think a lot of people are just kind of done with this. They had Jurassic World. That one did well. The other 2 did okay. Yeah, this probably makes back its budget. It probably breaks, maybe the 500 mark in the end. It just depends on if there's good, if there is some goodwill from this, if there's good word of mouth, then I think it'll do pretty well. If there's not any good word of mouth, I don't know. This could peter out at 350, 400. But we'll just have to wait and see. Right now, the reviews that I've seen so far have been fairly mixed, and I don't know. It doesn't sound like a hit to me. I don't know if it's something that that parents are going to be taking their kids out to see like multiple times. It just seems like it's a one and done kind of thing. And if that's going to be the case, then the best you might pull in 400. Like, people just don't, if it's not worth their time, they're not going to be going back to see it multiple times. And I just think that there's a lot of people who might just be out of these movies now. They just don't care.
I'll tell you what, though. I don't underestimate. These are the type of movies that I kind of consider it like in the Transformers territory. People don't know why they're going to watch them, but it has kind of this universal appeal. There's some dinosaurs walking around. whether it's sometimes kids that like seeing dinosaurs or just adults. It's this kind of mind-numbing thing you do. They're releasing it in 4th of July weekend. I think that in the U.S., at least for this weekend, it'll make at least what they're saying here. I think
Yeah, but
it
don't
can
you?
make
Shouldn't it be doing better than that
yes,
in a
I
4th of July?
absolutely
If it's
I
going to be pulling in 500 or 600 million, it's
well,
plus. It should be doing way better than that in the first weekend here in the
I
U.S.
think that the first weekend, whatever it does that'll do well, will be a lot of it from international. I think that once the first weekend, including this 4th of July stuff, is over, and this is some industry estimates also, it's going to make, in my opinion, at least $250 million for the weekend worldwide, and that's how these movies generally make money. I mean, even the last one, the Dominion one, made over $1 billion. So yeah, people are tired and maybe they don't feel like watching it and they're not as invested. But I could see this making, I would say something between 500 to 700 million. But I wouldn't be surprised if it made more in the direction of 700. I think it could make
Yeah,
$700 million worldwide, which means they're not going to lose money. They're going to walk away and say, yeah, they'll of course say it's a giant hit, but it'll just be a situation that they didn't lose money. They had another movie to add to the catalog. And I think that's what's going to do. It's going to do. I want to also show you. This is the article I was talking about. This is also from recently, from yesterday or the other day. Scarlett Johansson says she heard a lot of roles revolving around desirability and the male gaze as a young actress. That is less frequent. It's like, yes, you should be thankful.
mhm.
If I'm telling you, Professor, if I'm now in my 20s and somebody is saying to me, I keep saying this over and over again because I don't see how other people don't understand this. Somebody says, here's a check for $10 million. You go to the gym and all the ladies are going to look at you when you're on the movie. There's going to be the woman gaze. They're going to sit there, the female gaze. They're all going to be sitting there and gazing how you went to the gym. And here's a check for $10 million. How does that sound? I will shake your hand and take the deal. And I'm running to the gym,
Yeah,
with my
yeah.
$10 million. I'll do whatever it is that you want. I will,
I will
I
be
will
I will be with the trainer every day, and
every
I will
day.
eat what they tell me to eat. I will work out when they tell me to work out, and I'm gonna do that. N
I'll go on that paleo diet or whatever it is that they
Yeah,
do, the keto, whatever it is that you need me to do, Professor. And I'm going to tell you something. I am going to be okay with the female gaze.
yeah,
If they're all looking, if all the females are staring at me all the time and thinking how much they like me, it's not easy. It's not easy to carry that weight on my shoulders. But with the $10 million and the personal trainer and the chef, I'm gonna somehow be able to absorb the female gaze.
yeah, yeah. And I think that there are plenty of actresses out there who would be perfectly happy for them to say, "Hey, we really like you for this part. You've got the right shape. You've got the right look. I think you're attractive. I think the men are gonna like you in this part, and I think you're gonna be a big hit." Uh, I think they're gonna be happy with that until they get to a point where their looks aren't enough to get them parts anymore.
I was
And
looking.
then they're gonna be angry. I think that's what you're that yeah, and that's a lot of what Elizabeth Quince was saying earlier was, yeah, once they're older, now they're not getting parts because they've got the best tits or the tightest ass. They're not getting those parts anymore because they've gotten older. You've got to be uh you actually have to have some talent at that point. You actually have to be able to get up on that screen and actually captivate us with your acting. And I'm not saying that I don't think ScarJo looks bad for her age. I think she looks pretty good. Uh, and I prefer seeing women who do prefer to age gracefully. They're not constantly, doing work on their face and pulling pulling their skin so tight you could bounce quarters off of it. It's ridiculous, right? And I understand that there's pressure to do that for many of them, but you know what? Nobody said that you have to keep acting for the rest of forever. Like, maybe find something else somewhere else to contribute. There's been many very successful women in show business who, as they got older, decided, hey, maybe I go work behind the camera instead, and been very successful at doing that. So I don't know. I understand there's some pressure there. for these women to keep looking gorgeous and whatever, so they can keep getting those parts. But
I do want to say that Estefobos, in addition to his 5 memberships that he got on YouTube, he actually on the Rumble side gave a Rumble rant for $2, and he wrote, "Hollywood is okay with the female gaze. Male gaze is forbidden. Male gaze is good, though." Exactly. That's the only male gaze they like, I guess. In any case, he also says all that surgery doesn't look good. You're right. I mean, I think that the people that are smart when it comes to the surgeries is that for many years they do as little, if to none, as possible. And then over time, if you're getting, a little bit older, maybe you could do a few very minor things. I think the stars that want to kind of still remain a little youthful in their looks, like that handle this smart, like in a wise way, there are ones that do that. But once like you start getting obsessed with it, and you already look like a completely different person, I think that at that point you're doing more damage than good.
Yep.
But
Yep. I don't know. I wish some of these actresses would just recognize, yeah, you know what? There is an expiration date on me riding this train of constantly constantly getting jobs just because I'm hot to look at. Like that, eventually that's not going to get you the job anymore.
right,
So
and there, and there's no,
either you're just going to have to be, you're going to have to practice that craft to be a really great actress. And there have been some amazing actresses who, as they got older, were able to deliver incredibly strong performances. Karate Werewolf mentioned Demi Moore last year, coming in, she's long since aged out of that, prime age for a lot of these actresses, but came and delivered a really good performance in The Substance. And there's been plenty of other actresses as well. And like I said, there's been a lot of actresses who've said, you know what? No, that time for me is done. I'm not going to be in front of the camera. I can find other ways to contribute. So yeah, just the constant just victimhood thing just drives me crazy.
well, apparently there's some breaking news. Are you with me?
There is indeed. I've actually got it pulled up.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's fine if you got something there.
Well, basically, it says that Paramount have agreed to pay $16 million to Trump over edited 60 Minutes interview.
Yeah, I've got a variety story here.
I actually think that that's less than he could have squeezed out of them.
It probably is.
He seems very generous because they desperately wanted to get rid of this because they're trying to do this merger, and he was like stuck like a thorn in their side.
Yeah. So it does say Paramount Global said late Tuesday the company will pay $16 million to President Donald Trump to settle a lawsuit tied to 60 Minutes, betting that the payment will help the company's fortunes and speed a planned deal with Skydance Media, even if it risks tarnishing one of the media giant's most storied brands. Paramount said in a statement that it had agreed to pay $16 million to President Trump to settle his lawsuit, accusing CBS's 60 Minutes of deceptively editing an interview with then presidential candidate Kamala Harris. So yeah, 16 million. Yeah, what was he suing for? What was his original number? Was it like 20 billion or something?
Yeah, it was like something in the billions or something. Now, I'm not saying that he would have gotten billions, but I feel like he could have probably. They seem desperate. I feel like he could have probably squeezed more money out of them.
Yeah. So that is finally then out of the way so that they can start to move forward with their merger with Skydance Media, which is definitely something that's been on the it's been on their docket for quite some time now. They've been working on trying to do that.
Istafobos says that he 400
million. Yeah, I couldn't remember. It was at some point it seemed like it was a ridiculous amount of money, but being able to put that lawsuit behind them to and move forward, hopefully that does mean that now this merger will take place. I personally, I don't really have a problem with Paramount as a company. They've been behind a lot of great properties. They have a lot of great IPs and everything, but yeah, the company's been struggling severely, and I think Skydance Media may have some good ideas to try and right that ship. And so, we'll have to wait and see, obviously. But I think, Empress and M said working hard to prevent discovery at all costs. Yeah, I think that's going to be part of it. Yeah, nobody in Hollywood wants to have their dirty laundry aired out in Discovery, and they've been working hard. You could also say they're working hard to prevent additional Star Trek coming out. I
I
think
mean,
that's
honestly,
Skydance Media's.
he could have demanded like probably stuck to his guns for like 50 million, and I think they still would have probably paid him. He had them in a real bind. They could not do anything with that merger. This is stuff that's worth like that. There's billions of dollars in the air, all waiting for him. And I honestly think he could have gotten. I know it's the art of the deal, but you know what? I think he could have gotten more money. That's just my opinion.
I think at some point he probably just forgot about it, moved on to other stuff, and let his lawyers handle it.
It's
They probably
possible.
called him this afternoon and be like, "Hey, this lawsuit." He's like, "Oh yeah, that lawsuit thing. I bet
I mean,
they're going to settle." Okay.
they probably didn't they didn't admit to wrongdoing. They didn't say anything. They're giving him 16 million. I mean, yeah, it's fine, but I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love to get 16 million dollars, but the guy, he does have some money. It's not like he could have waited to squeeze more out of them. If I'm thinking, if I'm thinking I'm him, especially with how desperate they were to close this deal. But it is what it is. I actually, when I saw this lawsuit, a lot of times you see lawsuits and you're not sure. You're not sure what'll happen. But actually, when I saw this, I told you that I thought that he had a pretty interesting case because they did edit the answer.
Mm-hmm.
This was a very serious thing that they were asking her in the interview. Let's see if they have this thing.
The work that, but it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
But it seems that Prime
those are
Minister Netanyahu
two very different answers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I said that from day one. This was not like something that they edited for time or whatever it is. They edited the context or whatever was going on to try to like prop her up and make her look good. And this is just a small piece of what we saw later. These kind of we saw some of the behind the scenes, how this thing was done. And it really felt like they were desperate to try to make her look good in the interview. And, I know a lot of people from this 60 Minutes got upset. They're like, we've been here for years. We're the gold standard of news and all that stuff. And you know what? If you're the gold standard of news, if you really see yourself this way, and you don't see the problem of in a situation where you're interviewing a candidate like this, that you're manipulating the interview, if you don't understand what you're doing wrong, then you know what? Maybe you're not the gold standard.
Yeah. I was just looking here at some of the different lawsuits that have been brought up, and I want to say, what did I say, Price? I think I'm going to amaze you this time. What did I say? I said the original lawsuit was for $20 billion. That was the original number. That was the original number that Trump's and his lawyers put out. The original suit was for $20 billion.
Okay, he wouldn't have gotten $20 billion.
Never going to happen.
I think he could have squeezed 50 million. I think if he would have waited and continued to annoy them, at the end they could have squeezed like 50 million out of it. Maybe there's one other thing that could happen. Maybe behind the scenes, somebody asked for a favor here. I don't know who in the business world, somebody made a call and said to Trump, listen, they're going to give you $16 million. Please help here and let this thing go through. Sometimes there's reasoning and politics behind the scenes that we're not privy to. I feel like Yeah, maybe his lawyers told him it was a good idea, but maybe somebody also asked him. He's like, "Come on, you made your point already. Just let them pay you something. You've embarrassed and humiliated them. They'll go on their way. They can do the merger. Just do this." Maybe he also like has
Yep.
this kind of reminds me of what everybody is complaining about BB and stuff like that. Maybe they told him, "Listen, well, moving forward, we'll make sure that we say that you're great."
Well, they
Anything on
did.
that?
They did end up firing several people.
He managed to humiliate and embarrass them, and I think that everybody knows what happened there, and the fact that they ended up paying him money, it does mean something. Phantom Monk saying 60 minutes isn't what it used to be. Certainly not. It hasn't been 60 minutes for many years. I think that their time has come and gone, and this showed exactly how corrupt they've become, like the rest of the mainstream media. If they were ever any kind of symbol for integrity, a lot of that went out the window with this very interview, in my opinion, of course. And there was another interesting thing that happened. It just doesn't stop today. And this also happened after this in later hours. I saw this. I don't know if you saw this, but let me try to pull this up. Okay. So did you see this? Let's see if I can
Not
share.
yet. Oh, yes, I
So
did. I saw this earlier today. I was commenting on this with with some others. Yes, the University of Pennsylvania has first of all they because there were civil rights lawsuits against their university for allowing men to join the women's team just because they made some wacky claims about not being men but actually being women. They finally gave up and said, "Nope, fine, we're changing the rules, and men cannot be on the women's team just because they have some crazy idea about actually being women." And so they've had to backtrack on that, and then yeah, it is likely. I don't actually think that this has happened yet. Uh, the titles being stripped, but it's very very likely. I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
I agree, and the thing is like, I really don't care what people do. If this person wants to, be one way or another, and things like that, they can do whatever they want. If you want to open like a separate, category, and I think they've tried this. If you want to open
Yeah.
like a trans,
Have an open category. Anyone can enter.
anyone can
Just
enter. Have an
have an
open.
open category. Yeah.
So then, whoever is competing there, they know what they're signing up for, and they can do it. The fact that women spent their whole lives trying to build up to being professional swimmers, and then one day somebody says, "This guy that was like 415th place in the world, now he's shifting over to he's a woman now, and now they're shifting into
Now
this
he's
competition."
goes from 400 something in the world to breaking records of female Olympic swimmers. Yeah.
Istafoglu says, didn't even pay lip service to being T. All he did was grow his hair long. Yeah, it was a very kind of unconvincing. I mean, I don't know what's considered a convincing transformation, but this was not a convincing one.
Yes.
No.
CNN was losing their shit. Sorry, Sean, over this one earlier tonight. They I also saw some with CNN losing their crap over how Rubio came out and was talking about how he's finally shutting down USAID. USAID and talking about how 14 million people around the world are gonna die. Like CNN's had a bad day. Had a bad day.
They have had a bad day. And then there's something else that I saw that the kind of more lefty, whatever it is, the ones that have a different spin on it. They're like, Transformer swimming champion Leah Thomas will have her records and titles script after UPenn was pressured by the Trump administration. This is like a very kind of passive-aggressive kind of post. The university will also issue formal apologies to every biological female competitor who lost out due to a transformer competitor. The way that this is framed, it's like they want you to know that like they had no choice, and that I don't know what they're even criticizing them for collapsing under the pressure of Trump. But the truth is, I really didn't like this. I thought that this was unfair to the female swimmers. It's like, I don't care what people do in their private lives, but when we saw stuff like this and the Algerian boxer person, things like that, I think it's unfair to women who actually made a career of this. In order to be on these levels of competition, there's women that have, for their whole lives, they've dedicated to this one thing, trying to be the best of the best, and then somebody does this, and man, I would be extremely upset. I mean, I would really, really get annoyed. It's like I can't. There's nothing you can explain to me why they shouldn't get annoyed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's amazing sometimes.
But I have another surprise for you.
Oh yeah, another surprise! More breaking news.
It's not as
no. Okay.
Well, Scarlett Johansson apparently was in the Jurassic World Rebirth premiere in Seoul, and look, it almost seems like she knows she's a woman, and she came looking like a woman to the premiere.
Fascinating.
You know what I'm saying? Like
dressed up in a lovely dress, makeup, hair done. It's almost as if being attractive is a benefit. Looking
and
nice.
She doesn't seem miserable here when everybody's like smiling at her and taking pictures, right?
Yeah. She's she's just such a victim, though.
If you can show up to your premiere and look nice, and you seem to be cool with that, then don't lecture us about all this other weird crap. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
There's a lot of weird crap. That's all I have to say here.
What other news did we get today?
What other news?
Jimmy Swaggart died. Shame.
Yes.
And moving on. What else?
There was other stuff. What else were we go? Oh, Ironheart.
Oh my God! You had to bring it up. Well,
okay.
and there go our viewer numbers.
No, I think the people that are here now, they're the hardcore people. They want to hear Ironheart. And the truth is that I did watch the episodes, but I dozed off. Surprisingly, there somewhere I think around the third episode. But between the two of us, and Professor, you've seen all three. Between the two of us, I think we're going to be able to give people a real feeling of what happens on this show.
Well, I think everyone's going to be amazed to find out that, yes, this is every bit as bad as The Acolyte. And this does not get any better at all. I'm sure that's shocking to a lot of people, but the tomato meter. Oh, please. This is just astoundingly bad. Oh, it looks like we do have a Rumble rant from Mr. Phobos. Maybe we should do that before we move into Ironheart.
Okay, let me find it. Did my battery just... Okay, here. NBC, ABC, CBS, and CNN all had to sell multi-million-dollar lawsuits for defamation and factual misrepresentation in the last year. Two of them were Trump, then a doctor and soldier. And this is from Istophobos with a $1 super chat. Thank you, Istophobos.
Yes. Yeah, there's been quite a few lawsuits recently for defamation. And it's starting to hurt them. You would wonder if at some point they might decide to stop lying about people and misrepresenting them. But who knows?
By the way, if you're watching on YouTube and maybe you've got to this channel maybe by mistake, or you got there from my main channel or from my Twitter, you saw some kind of recommendation somewhere, and if you're not already subscribed, this is the live stream channel. Please subscribe to it. It would be really cool, especially like if you're on the YouTube side. If you're watching on Rumble and you're watching through the app and maybe you haven't officially signed up for Rumble, you should sign up, and then you should follow us and get notifications so you know when we're streaming. So all of that is stuff that you could do right now. And now, after all of that, let's get back to Ironheart.
Oh, okay. Well, of course, we got the first 3 episodes of Ironheart last week, where we found out that young Riri Williams is perhaps one of the most unlikable people in the world. She believes she's better than Stark, better than Gates, better than Pym, better than all of these great minds and inventors combined. And she's going to make something iconic. But of course, the only way she seems to be able to do that is by doing something someone else has already done, by making a super armor. But then she claims that this super armor, it's going to do so much good for people because they're going to be able to use it for ambulances or something. It doesn't really make any sense whatsoever. It's literally a weapon of war. But she said, well, people could fly around in suits and save people's lives. Okay, sure. So yes, we got to see that introduction to her last week in the first 3 episodes. She creates, well, first of all, she steals a set of armor from MIT after she's expelled because she is a cheater who's helping other people plagiarize and faking their projects. So and she needs to be able to build her armor, but she's not privileged like Tony Stark, who because he was a billionaire. He could only have been Tony Stark if he was a billionaire.
I do have a question for you, I ask it because this time it suddenly came up. Today there was something that happened in one of I think the first episode, that showed how stupid this whole thing is. Because when I watched that first episode that you just described, I said to myself, and I think we talked about it when we talked about it on the stream.
Yeah.
She could have called Wakanda and said, hey, you know what? I really need to be able to get this grant, and can you guys make a few phone calls? Maybe work out some deal with the school here, use your influence, you're like the queen, you're the whatever. That's all that needed to happen. She can make one phone call. She just helped not save, or whatever it is, save their kingdom. I think that if she's like part of their crew and she asks for a favor here, they have the resources, they have everything, and she doesn't do it. But in today's episode, her AI Natalie is asking her, oh, why don't you call Shuri and ask her? And she's like, what am I going to tell her? That I got involved, kicked out of MIT, and I got involved with some criminals and did some bad things? Well, you didn't need to do any of that. If according to you needed this for your research and all that other crap, you could have just called her initially before doing all the stupid shit. Sorry, Sean. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like that was the person you had on speed dial that you just saw her and helped her save her kingdom. You don't think you can call this kingdom and they'll give you a few extra dollars for your grant or make some phone calls? It is so stupid, and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It reminds me of what happened in Falcon and Winter Soldier, where rather than calling Happy Hogan or Pepper Potts or the U.S. Navy or the Army or anybody as one of the Avengers that saved the universe, he goes to the bank and everybody wants a picture with him, including the bank manager, yet because of his skin color, they won't give him a loan. That feels
so
like the
dumb.
same idiotic, like trying to be the victim when there's no victim to be had here. It's like it's a forced victimhood. You know what I'm saying? This
absolutely is.
This is my problem with Falcon and Winter Soldier, and they haven't learned anything. The forced victimhood is happening in this show as well, when she had viable options to not do all this bad stuff, but she didn't bother doing it. And they think that maybe, and this is I guess this is, people say that it's called lamp shading or whatever it is. They think that if she's going to sit around and explain all of this, it'll cover up the problem. But them mentioning that there's a problem doesn't cover up the problem. It just highlights it. But never mind. Go on. Sorry.
No.
There's
There's another thing it's kind of hilarious if you think about it. She was at what school?
MIT.
MIT. And do you remember the movie Civil War? Captain America Civil War?
Yes.
And what happened at the beginning of that movie? Tony Stark shows up at MIT to put
Right.
into place the September Foundation that was there to fund every single student at MIT.
Ah, that's right. I forgot about that.
So she would have had her project as a student at MIT funded by the September Foundation. Because he says he's up there. He tells everybody, all right, all your projects approved, funded, no strings attached. Go. Do something great for the world.
Even if that program ended, you realize that the type of contacts this girl has now, after helping the who is now the queen of Wakanda or whatever it is, that is enough to get like a few bureaucrats to do something for her. You know what I'm saying?
No. Every single company would be breaking down her door to fund her projects. We're talking about a kid who's, she graduates high school at 15, she goes off to MIT, like she has a really high profile, right? Companies would have
Right.
been breaking down their door to fund her projects so that they could lock her in and get her to go work with this company. But of course, she says repeatedly that no, everyone wants me to be to fit into their boxes. They want to make me small and I want to be big. So instead of taking their money, I'm going to go out and do all this criminal stuff to make money so I can build my suit. Sure. Okay. Whatever.
I don't want to be part of all these corporations,
yeah.
yo.
Terrible
Because I ain't
messaging.
feeling all these corporations, son.
Yeah, terrible messaging. So anyway, yeah, that's we see those first 3 episodes where she's out there, she builds her suit, and then she she goes out and does criminal stuff with it. Of course, once again, great job Disney for reinforcing negative stereotypes. Great job.
There's so much negative stereotype for enforcing here that it's insane. But go on.
So we move now. We're moving into the new episodes this week, right? We saw the abomination that was last week. She creates her AI that looks like her dead friend from years ago by just scanning her brain. Apparently, magically creates an AI. Nothing. There's no training involved. No computer power. Just magically she hooks her brain up to a computer, and then there's this AI that pops out. We also saw we were introduced to Obadiah Stane's son, who's been living incognito under a different name, Joe, right? Who was an absolute beta cuck of a guy. Like I could hardly stand him. Anyway, we get introduced to him. She takes some of his tech so that she can go and get a piece of the hood of his cape or whatever, so she can look at it. That's a key part because they spend a whole bunch of time looking at that dumb, stupid piece of fabric starting out these next episodes. So yeah, we get of course they start out Stain gets arrested because guess what? They were able to track the technology that she stole from him back to him. So she screws him over royally.
No, but it didn't also the hood plant like dead bodies there or something? Isn't there something fishy that happens there in addition?
Well, remember they broke into that company that raised heirloom organic fruit or whatever. I can't remember what they
something
did.
Like that. Yeah.
The name of the company was Heirloom, and then they broke in there to once again he tries to get people to sign these business contracts that would never hold up in court.
Never.
It's ridiculous.
And then the guy that refused, he killed him.
Yeah, he kills him.
But didn't he plant the bodies of the people that were dead in the yard of Stain?
I didn't catch that, but
I thought that they were saying that they found bodies. That's what made the thing with somehow they connected that whole thing with the heirloom thing where people were dead. So
there were the people that were dead at Heirloom, and then they found his tech. They found that skin graft thing that she had that just looked like a bandage. It didn't even look like something special. It just looked like a little piece of fabric bandage that she had on to cover up the laser that she took in to cut off a piece of his suit. or the piece of the hood or whatever. But anyway, so he gets dragged in and he takes the fall for the attack on the heirloom people and all those dead people. But then you you
And
get
at the same time, also the Hood realizes that Riri was the one
yes, he's
that killed his right hand man.
yeah, the voices in his head told him that basically at
They
the end of the
specifically told
third
him, yes.
episode.
Yes.
So he believes Riri's the one who's responsible. So yes, he sends his crew after Riri, which
Yes.
was hilariously bad, man. That
Very
was
bad.
so dumb. Literally, you've got little 90-pound Riri here going up against what are supposedly well-trained martial arts fighters. We've seen them, like they go around, they travel around and these fights and stuff like that. Little
It's hard
twins
for
or
me
whatever.
to take those two
Yeah, I know,
butch
but
ladies very seriously. I
yeah,
mean, they are rather butch, I guess. They're a couple or something. This show is so weird.
yeah,
And then you have the former drag queen person in the middle there.
yeah.
Man, is
Who
that
at
a
one point
strange
is
crew?
wearing like a bra as a costume. It was
I
hideous.
guess.
Absolutely hideous. But Riri manages to fight off the whole gang at once.
Yes.
She manages to fight them all off, trap some of them inside of her little bubble thing that she can, force field, whatever, and then gets in it like they're beating the hell out of her. She doesn't have a single bruise to show for it. She's smacking them around with whatever she can find in the kitchen of the was it White Castle, right? Where they were the fight. But then after all of that, she manages to get back to her suit, and then we find out that we've seen that the Hood is showing up and telling not Obadiah is the dad, Ezekiel Stain, that he can now get him out of prison and give him power and whatever. So they upgrade a bunch of bionic stuff on him, and now he tries to take on Riri. And oh no, that hideous looking suit that she's had for the first 4 episodes gets destroyed.
Gets destroyed. And he shows compassion suddenly, even though
yeah,
he
he lets her live. Yeah, he lets her live.
Not clear why. I mean, I
no,
guess.
I mean, other than just like because the script said so, I guess.
The script said so. There wasn't even something, if at least he would have had an additional sentence and say, listen, we had a connection or anything. I don't even give a shit what it is. Say something that gives us an idea of why you would let her live, but just to let her live because he just let her live, that actually feels like nobody even put any effort into the script.
But so then after you find out, like when they get back, the gang gets back to their place. The one girl clown who likes explosives, which by the way has a grenade that goes off like 10 inches from her body, and she just walks away from it.
That was weird. Yes,
that was so stupid.
There's also something that her and Riri and her mother brought the Hood's hood to a store.
Oh yes, I was gonna get to that moment, because that's where we really find out that yes, this is in fact Marvel's version of the Acolyte, because now we've got witches.
Right.
They bring it to this little sweet shop, and it turns out that the sweet shop is actually a front for a mom and her witch daughter.
Witch daughter, yeah. They do all this witch stuff.
And they talk about Camartage, like she's been training with the same people that
like Doctor Strange,
Doctor Strange, right? But she's she does magic, and so they look at the piece of the hood and the magic that the hood has. And this is all
magic in the hood. She does magic in the hood where she analyzes the hood's hood.
And so they start saying, "Oh, it's Dormammu. Dormammu's power is in this," and and then later on, she's like, "Oh, I'm like 47% sure," or something. It's like, what?
Also, you're also selling it short here. Like, I think people don't understand that every few minutes there's like a rap song.
Oh yeah, no,
African
the music
chanting,
is terrible.
African like people going like Rastafari, Rastafari, and they're all like talking about all this like African spells and stuff. This thing is like a 6-hour stereotype. This series, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A 6-episode stereotype.
Yeah. So while they're investigating the Hood, the crew that works for the Hood, they Clown covers for Stain, saying, "Yeah, he killed Riri when he really let her go," and then they start looking into what was the other tech guy, his death. I can't remember his name. Stewart, was that his name? Yeah.
John?
Well, no, John's dead, but they start looking into Stewart's death because Riri says something about Stewart being killed.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so they start
Rampage.
looking into it.
Maybe Rampage?
Yeah, Rampage. Yeah,
Okay,
they start looking into his death and then find out that oh, look, he OD'd. He never did drugs. And so the whole gang eventually leaves. And thank God it's the last we have to see of any of them. The whole gang leaves, but that leaves just the Hood still needing to get his stuff, and he has the administrative passwords for Ezekiel Stain's enhancements, his different enhancements that he put in his body. So so he's able to control him like with voice commands, like he's like he's Siri or something.
Right. Okay.
So you're going to come with me and fight for me and whatever. So, but anyway, then we move into the last episode, where we or maybe it's at the end of the second episode, where we get to see that Riri is now, she's brought all of her friends in to help her, and now she's going to build another suit because there's no other way to fight this battle, right? We're going to build another suit. So she's going to build a third suit now, and the way that she decides to do it is to build it out of her 71 Barracuda that she got at the end of Wakanda Forever, which apparently her mom sold, but then bought back. Okay, sure. I did not understand that at all. But they get her.
I have to be honest.
Hot orange,
I was,
Barracuda back, and then they tear it apart to build her suit. So she builds her suit out of a 70s Detroit built car. I don't know. Do you remember what Iron Man built his suits out of?
Didn't he build it in a
lightweight
cave?
titanium composites and all sorts of high-tech stuff? No, we're just going to bang this out of the same steel that was made in 1970s.
Well, he did initially make in the cave, whatever, but that was a different situation.
Dumb. So massively stupid. And then, of course, there's not any tech in a 1970s CUDA. All you could ever get off that would just be the paneling.
Quickly, I want to shout out.
But then it's not going to be that ridiculous, ridiculously strong, bulletproof, whatever that they built out of it. That, or it is bulletproof and it weighs 7 tons.
Quick shout out I want to give to.
It's so ridiculous. They build that suit, which, by the way, we saw a bunch of pictures of that suit that were going around. And people were like, "No way, that's not the real suit. That's just AI. Somebody made that up." No,
Can you hear me?
This is the worst suit yet. It is terrible. It looks so awful. The colors and the textures that they put on it. I mean, the only thing it doesn't have, if you remember the one that they made for Wakanda Forever, had cornrows on the helmet. So it doesn't have that.
Can anybody hear me? That's the question. Professor, can you hear me?
Just realized I got dumped there.
Can you hear me, though?
Yes, I can hear you.
I was talking to you, but I feel like you couldn't hear me. It was the weirdest thing.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to give Mega Geek a shout out because Rebecca Gold is his channel, and that's his series.
Yeah, hey there.
So I hope you guys are all familiar. Ian is a good guy, and he makes his own kind of original content, and Rebecca Gold is his show. And I don't know if people heard me until now, but there was a moment that you and I couldn't hear each other properly.
Yeah. I think it was that 2 hour.
It was that 2 hour weird thing. That's when I left and came back, and he says,
and I got booted.
Is shit. and I haven't even seen
Seen
it.
it yet.
LOL. So
Yes, and if you don't follow Rebecca Gold, if you haven't watched any of the first series of Rebecca Gold, definitely go watch that. It's fantastic. It's really good. Cannot wait to see the second half of what
Caleb
Ian's got
Levine
ready
say.
for us.
Caleb Levine said,
I just kept jabbering.
jabbering.
Well, what was
No,
I supposed to do? I gotta keep.
No, it's really not his
dead
fault.
air. Like
I understood that he couldn't hear a word I was saying, and you just kept talking because why wouldn't you? I'm talking to you, but you can't hear me.
no, I couldn't
But
hear you at all.
I have a feeling that the people in the audience could hear me trying to talk to you, and you not. It was ridiculous. Not that we're talking about like Ironheart. It was so stupid. But go on.
Mr. Momo said, "Yeah, they could hear you trying to break in, and I was just talking. Yeah, I couldn't hear a word coming from you. So that's funny. Yeah, no, I was just ignoring him. Just shut up, Price. I don't want to hear. I don't want you breaking in. No.
Once a professor starts talking about Ironheart, you just can't stop him.
Oh God, no! It is just this unintentionally funny disaster. So what I was saying was, this new armor is just the worst looking armor she's made yet. The only thing it's missing is the ridiculously stupid cornrows that were on the armor that she made in Wakanda Forever. If you remember that,
I remember.
It's
crappy suit.
Oh my God, it looked terrible. So this looks even worse. This looks like, I swear to God, this looks like a Party City Spirit Halloween knockoff, Power Ranger costume or something. It's atrocious. But then, Price, because she knows she's got to fight magic with magic now. She has her friend from the candy store or whatever come over and cast magic spells to protect her suit. But oh no, she's told there's a price to pay. And so when they start casting the spells on it, for whatever reason, the magic erases Natalie, erases her friend AI that's gotten in there. Of course, she was too freaking stupid to back up.
How can you be the smartest woman in the world if you can't think of doing a backup for your best friend? But
couldn't back up her AI, whatever. No, she rushes to try and do it when she realizes that something is happening, but she didn't back it up, and so she loses Natalie. So then she has to go fight with the Hood because she's decided she's got to take the Hood away from him. So she goes to this fight. The fight is awful, by the way. There's some really stupid stuff. She makes her he's tearing her apart, and she makes her suit basically explode. But then her suit is all still together, and she's projecting a hologram. It doesn't make sense. The fight scene makes no sense whatsoever. But she takes the Hood off of him, and he's like, "Oh, it hurts! It hurts!" But what we have found out in the introduction to the last episode is that where did the Hood come from? Yes, well, it was given to him by Mephisto.
Oh.
Yes. It's given to him by Mephisto. So he made a devil's bargain with Mephisto to get this power because he wants to be, he says something about being greasy, embarrassingly rich or something like that. And then later we find out that the Hood is actually from, she forgot to steal a USB stick.
Yes. I thought that was funny.
Yeah. Yeah. But we find out that the Hood, is actually a child who was abandoned by a rich guy. And so all of this stuff that he's been doing has all been about his daddy issues. He's been killing people, taking over corporations, whatever, so that he can get back at his dad, who sort of disowned him when he was younger. And so he goes and takes over that guy's company or whatever. None of it made sense. Once again, there's these ridiculous contracts that would never hold up in court. And so in the end, she goes to fight the Hood. She ends up tricking him and taking it off of him. And he's like rolling on the ground saying, "Oh, it hurts not having it, whatever." And then she takes off with it. And when she does, she's confronted by Mephisto, who tells her, he's been watching her for a long time, seeing all the awful things that she's done to get where she is, all the stealing and all the plagiarism, all the moral compromises she's made, and he's really a fan of hers with all the all the awful things that she's done, and so he wants to make a deal with her, and so it turns out that he realizes the thing she wants more than anything is to have Natalie back, because she lost her once and then she lost her a second time, wants to get Natalie back. And so what does our hero do when she's faced with a devil's bargain price?
This is the part that I dozed off, admittedly. She makes the deal with him.
She takes the deal with the devil so she can bring back her friend. So quite literally, this show has to be nothing but a villain origin story. She is not a hero. She literally makes a deal with the devil to get her friend back in the end, telling him, "Oh, well, it's only me you want, right?" So we're supposed to take this as in, oh, she's sacrificing herself to bring back her friend. No, you are making a deal with the devil so that you can have what you want. This is not I'm sorry. This is so absurd that this was supposed to be. This is our black hero. This is our hero from Chicago, who, with her, this all black cast, or mostly black cast, and she's, she's going to be this great iconic hero. She's a villain. 110%. She's the bad guy. I don't care if she thinks she's good or not. She's the bad guy. And she makes, in the end, the show ends with her making a deal with the devil so that she can bring back her friend.
And then this is the part that I dozed off. What happens then?
Oh, so that's basically the end of the story, except that you do get to see she's trying to work on maybe there's a way she can engineer her way around this deal with the devil that she's made, or whatever, engineer her way around the magic and stuff. And so she's working in her workshop, and then Natalie shows up. And she's like, "Oh, hey, I'm glad you're working again." And she says something like, "Run diagnostics." And Natalie looks at her like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And she's like, "What do you mean?" And then she reaches out and sort of bops her on the head, and she realizes that this isn't a hologram. She didn't get the hologram back. She got actual Natalie back from the time when she died. At least you're taken to believe that's who that is. Remember, this is a deal with the devil. Those come with all sorts of caveats. It could be a demon in the shape of Natalie or whatever. But anyway, we're shown she gets Natalie back, and then that's the end of the show. That's it, until we do get a little after credit scene where we find the Hood, who survives. She doesn't kill him. He's sort of writhing on the floor without his hood, with all that stuff all over his face, the veins and scars and whatever. And then you get to see the Hood. He goes into that same witch's chocolate shop or whatever and asks if, where's the real magic, because I need help, right? That's the end. That's it. So we got the origin story of two villains. One is named the Hood, and the other is Riri Williams, who calls herself Ironheart.
But I do have a few questions. What happens, because this, again, I dozed off. What happened to Ezekiel Stain in the third one?
Oh, so eventually, so she does have a fight with Ezekiel, because remember, he's the Hood, Parker's puppet now,
right?
Because now he can control all of his tech,
so the admin password
with the administrator password. he gets in there's a ridiculous fight. I'm sure they thought this was absolutely hilarious. There's a ridiculous fight where the two of them are fighting, and the whole time Ezekiel is apologizing to Riri. I'm sorry, I don't want to hit you. Oh, no, I didn't mean to do that. I don't really want to do this. Oh, please, I'm not gonna. I don't want to hurt you. You know. And eventually, they work out something so where Riri's able to like scan all of his tech in him, and figures out that if she can do the right thing, she can take over his tech and cause it to reset so that erase the other guy's administrator password or whatever.
Oh, that's so stupid.
And so he's able to get control of himself back. And so that was sort of the end for him.
Sounds super lame. And then okay, so there's that. There was also another stupid thing where the brother of Natalie gets introduced to the AI, and he's like,
Yes.
"How dare you do that? Like you're dishonoring her memory by doing this stupid AI." And then he gets upset at her. And there's also something, and I posted this on Twitter. There is a scene, and I asked you about this, and I think you confirmed what I was saying. There is a scene that basically is, I'm trying to find this. Can you see it?
Yes.
There's a scene where she's flying and she goes, "I can't breathe." And like, she doesn't say it once. She says it a number of times.
Yeah.
Almost like they took the dialogue from the Floyd person.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
it almost as it was like a transcript of Floyd. She's like, she said it a few times, and I'm like, this can't be a coincidence. You know what I mean?
Absolutely not. No, they were absolutely telegraphing that.
I just don't understand why. It's not even like a similar situation. Like why would they this is a very strange way to try to tie it to the Summer of Love 2020 Floyd festival.
Mostly peaceful, fiery
Peaceful, fiery festival. Yes.
Yes.
Very strange way to try to link this. They could have easily just redubbed this or something, and their insistence on keeping this in there is very odd to me.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't know. I mean, so there was that whole thing with that weirdo, and I guess
I was right. They did edit out, or at least I never saw it. You'll remember in one of the early teasers there was a shot of her blasting off from a road that had Black Lives Matter painted all over it.
Yeah, they were smart enough to get rid of that.
Yeah, so they did take that shot out at some point. Thankfully, got rid of that. But she's still got like Black Lives Matter posters in her bedroom and all sorts of stuff like that.
This feels to me like they thought probably around 2020 when they conceived this, that this was the most brilliant idea they ever had.
Oh yeah.
And this is really, we've talked about this a lot. We talked about it back in the day with Star Wars as well. There is a difference between doing some kind of like under the surface social commentary that's subtle, and between like these kind of things that are very, very not subtle and very obvious. And when you do something that's kind of like a Star Wars original trilogy, where you could look at a lot of things that happen in history and sort of say, oh, this is kind of reminiscent of this is kind of reminiscent of that, but there isn't one clear thing that it's obviously shoving down your throat. That's when you make entertainment that's timeless, when you know how to take certain themes, but you know how to also create an original story. Here, this is the opposite of that. This is the very example of not doing subtle, of just shoving things down people's throats, and it becomes dated 5 minutes after they film it.
Mm-hmm.
Like
yeah.
this,
this was. I think I said on Brown's channel on Sunday. This was made. This was produced during just like peak woke, right? Peak identity politics, yes. Peak stuff. So they shoved absolutely everything in here, and they were. I guarantee you, when they were making this, they thought this was gonna be revolutionary. They thought that this was gonna just hit every single, societal movement and everything, and it was gonna be amazing. Well, we all got real sick of it real fast, and
A-
no, it did
Absolutely.
not go well for them. So yeah, this show is a complete embarrassment.
Absolutely.
This is a disaster. Nothing in this show makes any sense, even in universe. Okay, so you used your 71 Barracuda, you took it apart and made an Iron Man suit out of it. Where'd you get all the holographic displays and the high-end computing and all that stuff, right? Yeah, Tony Stark made an Iron Man suit out of scraps that he, put together in a cave. But that Iron Man suit didn't have heads-up holographic displays and AIs and
No,
all that
no,
stuff in it,
no.
right?
It was
So
rather primitive, and the thing is
extremely,
that he still needed a bit of time to put it together, and he needed
yeah.
another guy helping him, and this wasn't something that happened in 1 minute. When they show her doing stuff, it's, like, very quick and very just, automatically you just give her a few scraps, and she'll do it on the spot. But, yeah, I mean, I think that it was, like, the perfect storm because if you think about it, you have some Me Too here that they're all like girl bosses. You have the more like LG type of rights, aggressive peddling of that. So you have that in there, and you have like the BLM. It is like the perfect storm of all the different type of like woke movements of that moment that I think that like years from now, when people will look back at shows like this, at Falcon, at Winter Soldier, at a few of those other ones, The Acolyte, everybody is going to see those for exactly what they were. They're going to say, "Ah, this is part of the woke era." That's what they're going to say about it, and everybody's going to have a good laugh and think to themselves how like franchises all like went off a cliff. You know what it's going to be like? Remember Duck and Cover?
Duck and cover.
During the 50s when they
Oh
thought that
yeah,
there would
yeah,
be
of
a
course. Yeah,
nuclear
yeah.
60s, there would be nuclear with like Russia, whatever they thought. They kept
Yeah.
telling
Sorry, I
people
wasn't following you. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
they used to show them like movies and stuff, and if something happens, you need to duck and cover. You need to duck and cover, and there was all these like shows and animations and whatever it is. These things will be like the duck and cover. Why am I saying it? Because today, when you look at it and you hear people like, "Now you got to duck and cover," you're kind of chuckling because it doesn't make any sense and it's stupid. And I think that years from now, I suspect that at least some people are going to watch this drivel and think to themselves, like, roll their eyes and think, "Ah, this was very much like a product of that very, very specific moment in time." These aren't classic shows. These are shows that become obsolete. Like this one is already obsolete. This one they just waited on. I don't, they waited. They waited on, and I think some people have said this that they probably thought that they would get a few wins, like that Daredevil Born Again would be huge for them. That these kind of movies, the Thunderbolts, like these would be huge successes, and in the middle they'll kind of slip this in quickly, and nobody will notice. But unfortunately, they've only been failing, and everybody is noticing how crappy this show is.
Yeah, I Disney can't. I'm certain that they want people to forget about this as quickly as possible. It is absolutely awful. Yeah.
Fandom Outsider says the reason Tony needed the other guy was he did have a chest wound and shrapnel trying to claw its way into his heart and was lugging around a car or battery truck. Yeah.
Yeah. But with the resources available to him, not only did he build that Iron Man suit, the more important thing was with those resources, all of his billions stripped away from him. He's stuck there with his mind and the resources he has at hand, which did happen to be a bunch of his own weapons, right?
Right. Yeah.
But he built out of his brain with his own memory and his own genius. He built the arc reactor. That was really the thing that was transformative, right? It wasn't that he put on built a suit of armor. Suits of armor have been around forever, but he built this powered suit of armor, and he built that power source in that a piece of highly advanced technology in a cave, right? And that was the whole point of the whole thing. When you get in the first film, Obadiah Stane, the meme out of, he built this in a cave.
It
It's
was
not about
scraps,
it
yeah.
wasn't about the Iron Man suit. It was about the arc reactor that he made, that miniaturized arc reactor. That's what he was, really the amazing thing that he built. Riri never comes even close. All she can manage is a suit. And and then the ridiculousness of it being wind and solar powered. And the scene,
Yeah.
I will never forget. I need that on a loop to show is the loop of the suit flying in the air, hovering in the air, the repulsor lifts blasting, and two little tiny fans on the shoulders with the wind blowing through them. Supposedly that's charging up the suit, right? It's just absolutely insane.
I mean, if they wanted to do something that seemed even mildly respectful to Tony Stark or anything like that, they could have made a show where, let's say, she works at MIT, and instead of making her garbage after the Wakanda situation, she actually became really good. She takes her studies seriously. She's at the top of her class. They're working on some suit there, but somebody in the lab on the team that works with her, he's involved in some kind of shady business. I think we talked about it last time. And that person involved in some kind of shady business frames her, makes it look like she stole or did something bad in the lab, gets her kicked out when in fact she didn't do anything wrong, but the person that set her up did it really well. And there's some like very evil forces behind this whole setup trying to get a hold of this suit, trying to do something bad. And maybe at this point, she goes and she visits somebody like Happy Hogan and says, listen, I had everything going for me and they ruined it. And now it's like a dangerous situation. And maybe gradually somebody like, Hogan and a few other people like a Pepper Potts or whatever, they try to help her and they try to work with her. Tony's no longer around and they're trying to give him, her tools maybe that he had to try to combat whatever this evil is. At least then I would feel that it's a little more respectful. But to just make it that she's just a villain criminal and she has to go back to the hood to hang out with the hood is just it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And then she makes a literal deal with the devil.
Unbelievable. It's just so dumb. It is so dumb. This show is just really, really stupid, and it's not worth anybody's time. It's an embarrassment that Disney put out this show. I will have to go and watch this sixth episode because honestly, I saw the first three, of course, and today I actually planned to watch all three before our stream, and I put the first one, the second one, and somehow I think around the third one I dozed off. It just continued to play, and suddenly I'm like, wait, there's the night owl. Like it put me to sleep, so I guess I wasn't enjoying it.
No, might have gotten a little bored.
It's boring too, you know what I mean? Like I want to laugh at it, but it's not even like that good to laugh at. It's boring.
Yeah, it really it's just not good. And like I said, the action scenes are dull and ridiculous. We get all sorts of stuff about the hood. Like I could care less about that character at all. I don't want to spend any time talking about thinking about the hood. Like jeez. Yeah, well, like I said, Marvel cannot forget, Disney cannot forget about this fast enough. It is a disaster. I think, there's been arguments about, well, maybe maybe they had to put it out to keep the blue-haired whales happy or whatever. I think that there was probably something in the contract with someone's contract that they couldn't just can it, right? It had to be released.
It's that, and there's also something else. There's also something else. I mean, the problem is it's Disney. Imagine Warner Brothers when Zaslav like got rid of Batgirl. He had to put up with a lot of shit from the media. The only thing is Zaslav is the type of guy that doesn't give a shit. But honestly, Bob Iger does give a shit. And with all of his stupid grandstanding and standing on soapboxes and pretending he's a swell guy, to take this thing that it was like a black leading person in a series and all the stuff they were trying to do, if he would have canceled this show, not to mention all those like drag queens would have come out of the woodwork or whatever it is, if he would have canceled this show, it would have been a nightmare. Imagine the videos. Imagine the videos that were going to be made about Bob Iger doing this as a tax write-off.
Mm-hmm.
It was not going to fly. And the only thing they could do, it was the same thing as like Echo. They knew Echo was a stinker, so they dumped it in one day. I guess for some reason they thought this was better than Echo, so they dumped it in like basically 8 days or 7 days. They basically dumped it.
Well, someone the other day had a theory. It might have been I was talking with Istphobos. I can't remember, but you'll notice that part of it came out in June and part of it came out in July, since and so since part of it aired in one part of Disney's fiscal year and another part of it aired in another part of their fiscal year, potentially they might be able to spread out the costs of the production of this show.
Maybe you're
into
right. Maybe they can show the loss.
Multiple different quarters. And so
Right.
it might spread out the impact of, oh my God, I can't believe how much this ridiculous disaster cost us. So
I
who
agree
knows?
with you. I think that this was maybe a clever way of like spread. It's more like spreading out the failure. It's
Yeah.
like it's just it's sort of trying to conceal some of the failure by dividing it into two and confusing some
Yeah.
investors.
Yeah, they can recognize it across two different fiscal quarters instead of potentially two different fiscal years if their fiscal year ends. A lot of businesses in their fiscal year on June 30th. So
That makes perfect sense to me. I think that actually what you're saying is very clever, and I didn't actually think about it until you just said it. But now that you've said it, I can't unthink it, and it is absolutely probably reason they did it. But with all of that, did you see the thing with PewDiePie joining in with?
well, I could care less about PewDiePie. He's a freak. But I did see what you're talking about.
I'm going to be
the thing
honest
with
with you.
Stop
I'm going to
Killing
be honest with you.
Games.
I've never been a fan of his. I know there's some people that swear by him. Never really understood what the appeal of PewDiePie was. Sometimes I'll tell you what. Sometimes when everybody gets excited about somebody, I am not excited. It felt like one of these kind of like normie things to me, this PewDiePie guy. I know some people will swear by him and say that he's the best thing that ever happened. To me, this was always like very normie stuff that people that liked him. I never thought much of him. With all of that being said, though, he does have, it is kind of interesting that he stepped into this Stop Killing Games initiative. So I thought that was at least worth mentioning. Because it is notable, it's noteworthy, even if you don't like the guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and this Stop Killing Games thing has Stop Killing Games thing has actually
What's the bad take, Rob Nutscoobla?
that I don't like PewDiePie, a guy who uses the N-word on streams and has been openly anti-Semitic. I can like who I like and not like who I
mean,
don't
the
like.
thing is that I personally didn't even know much about him. I've seen a few things that he did over the years. I didn't even know about the stuff that you just said. I never saw him use the N-word. I didn't know he did that stuff. But honestly, I'm not really a watcher of his. Like, I think that back in the day when people were like, look how great this guy is, I'm just like, whatever. I'm more interesting than him. I don't have time to watch his crap. That was me personally. Don't know him enough to say one way or another, but I trust you, Professor, and nothing you described sounds so good to me, but go on.
Well, anyway, he's been known to mention some of those anti-Semitic things, and did in fact use an N-word on his live stream because he came back and apologized for it later. So anyway, Rob Nutscoobla was saying, he's defending him. That's, what, you can like who you like. He was angry. Okay, I think when people are angry, when they're off their heels or back on their heels, that's when people show who they really are. So that's just how I feel about it, and If you like him, great. Never
Yeah,
been a
we
fan
don't
of
tell
his.
people who to
Never
like
been
or
a fan
not
of his.
like.
So
I personally, just like I said, I've never really gotten into this whole PewDiePie thing because he just didn't really interest me. I thought he was one of those things that people all get excited, but I didn't know what they were excited about, and it didn't speak to me. But I respect people's.
feel free to do your own research, look into him yourself, like him or not, whatever. That's up to you. I'm not going to tell you who to like and who not. I'm just telling you why I have the impressions that I have of him over time. So not a fan, not a fan. Um, but anyway, yeah, this whole project that he has come out to support has actually been gaining a lot of ground with a lot of people, and that is the what is it called, the Stop Killing
Stop
Games
Killing Games
movement.
initiative,
So,
yeah.
and this movement, this initiative, the real idea is, we've got to make it so that because a lot of companies, a lot of these developers have been pushing a lot of live service games in recent years, right? So part of what happens with these live service games is they require the publisher to continue to support them in order for those games to function. If they decide, you know what, I don't want to support your game anymore. Uh, I'm not going to support your game. I've decided that we're moving on to something else. So now this game, whether you like it, don't like it, whatever, it's going to stop working because we're going to stop supporting it. We're not going to have we're not going to have servers. We're not going to have you know. Uh, any sort of the live service to support this, and so the game just disappears. It's dead. You can't go back and play it. Even if you bought it, you paid for a copy of it. Now you can't go back and play that game, or they shut down the servers that are supporting some sort of DRM or something for that game, and now that game can't authenticate and it can't be played. So a lot of what's behind this is simply saying, look, these companies, they come out and they make these games. We've paid money for them. We've invested time in them. And why is it okay for them to just decide, well, now you can't play that game anymore, even though you paid for it, right? And so this has gained a lot of support from a lot of different people, including PewDiePie, just saying, there has to be something that we can do to make it so that we can continue to play these games, right? Like if a company decides, hey, we're not gonna support this game anymore. Yes, people bought it, whatever. So they'll open source the server side of it, or there's something that needs to happen there so that these games don't just go up in smoke, right? They don't just disappear. They can't be played anymore because now the servers online that support them aren't there. Yeah. Isphobos was saying, yeah, you don't buy games, you rent them. Yeah, I mean, that is how it works in the digital marketplace. Yeah. Essentially, yes, you are paying for that game, but they can revoke that license at any time, right? So yeah, this movement has, like I said, has been catching on with a lot of people, and hopefully there is some sort of some sort of movement here with some of these publishers. Maybe there is legislation eventually that requires them to do something uh, so that these games don't just disappear immediately when the companies don't want to support them anymore. But I don't know. I guess we'll see where it goes. Not these things don't always end up with actual change happening, right? There's been a bunch of movements for years, a bunch of people with different initiatives trying to make sure that devices can be repairable. If I buy an iPhone, I should be able to repair it, right? There's if I buy an Android phone, if I buy a tractor, right, I should be able, I paid for that, I should be able to fix that. But there were a bunch of different companies that either they're building devices that can't be repaired, or they're doing something where essentially they make it a violation of the DMCA, because they say, oh, well, it's got protected software in it. We made that. If you do any changes to it, now you've violated our our rights.
Is it
And
kind of
so,
like when they brick machines? Like if you bought any kind of gadget or something, and they do some kind of firmware update and they brick it.
yeah, there's been some some sort of things that have happened like that. Really, yeah, it's just the idea is that we should have the right to repair things that we buy, and we shouldn't have to go back and pay money to one specific company to repair it. Like if I have an iPhone and I break my screen, uh, Apple should not be able to say, well, only we can repair that. So you have to pay us money, and you have to pay us the amount that we decide you're going to pay. You should be able to then take that to someone who can repair it. If my John Deere tractor is having issues and I have a repairman come out to work on it, I should be able to do that and not have to say, whoa, well, I have to go back to John Deere and have them do all the work on it or whatever.
Oh,
So
Elizabeth Quince, before I forget, she's asking if anyone's seen F1 in IMAX, thinking about waiting to see it that way. I saw it in IMAX, not because I wanted to see it in IMAX, just because that was the only option I had for like an early screening. I certainly enjoyed it that way, but I think even if I saw it not on IMAX, I'd probably still enjoy it. I didn't think it was bad seeing it in IMAX, but I usually don't go out of my way one way or another to see it in this screen or that screen. It happened to be in an IMAX. I liked seeing it there, but I don't know if you can enjoy it anywhere else. But what I want to also tell you, Professor, is like there was something once called Sling Media. Do you know what a Sling box? Do you know what that is?
oh, absolutely. I had two of them.
Right. So what happened
Two
was is
different generations of them.
Yep, they had the different models, and I had some of the later models. Now I had something called a sling box, and also something called a sling catcher, somewhere else, and
Yes.
that basically meant that you could use your cable box anywhere. You could
Yep.
just go anywhere,
Yep.
and if you're far away or you're traveling, and you take this other gadget, you hook it up, you can use that cable box anywhere. But it works like a cable box. You actually change the channels. It's as if you have your cable box with you anywhere. It was a really, really cool gadget. And at some point, for a lot of different reasons, because they wanted to do some online thing, and also they had issues with different cable companies that wanted them to get rid of this gadget, then they ended up saying, okay, we're no longer supporting it. And after a number of years, just one day, they bricked the machines. They're like, screw you, you can't use them anymore.
Yep.
And it's like, what do you mean screw you? Like, I bought this machine, screw you. Like, I paid for this. This is a service that I paid for. I paid for these things. What do you mean now you're going to make them not work? And until today, you can't work with, if you have like a sling or whatever it is, you cannot use those anymore. They've
Yep.
bricked them.
They said, "Oh, actually, no, we're going to an entirely online streaming service, and yeah, we're not going to support these things anymore." You know what's really funny, Price? I'm actually looking at my sling box right now, because I've been going through a bunch of my old boxes and boxes of stuff that moved with us over the years. I've been going through them, and I'm collecting a whole bunch of stuff that's going to go to e-cycling. And I've got my sling box right here. It was a little black, little sort of rectangular sling box with a weird texture on it. Yeah, got it right here. I had the original one too, which was shaped a lot differently. But I got that because at the time I had a really big commute to school, and so when I would leave the house, I would drive 40 plus minutes. And then most of the time I would just stay at on campus for the rest of the day, because I wasn't driving home for lunch. It was 40 minutes. Right. So I got that sling box. I was like, this is slick, because now I can hang out in the student union or whatever on the Wi-Fi, and I can just watch whatever from my
Yeah, no,
cable
very
box
convenient.
back
Yeah.
at home. It was perfect. I could watch stuff off the DVR, whatever. Yeah, the sling box was a really slick device. But yeah, that pissed me off horribly. That's kind of funny that we have that in common. That
I have a box of boxy boxes. Yeah, it was.
Oh, Boxy. Yep.
I
I
remember.
almost almost bought into Boxy, but then decided not to, and I was real happy about that later on.
Yeah, I think that
when
didn't
that
work out
company
well.
collapsed.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
no, I totally get where you're going with it. And the thing is that if I'm not mistaken, at least on the catcher, what they did is that you turn it on and it wants to automatically update to the latest firmware. The only problem is the latest firmware bricks your machine, and they refuse to let you have the files to change it. They shut down their servers. To go through such great lengths to ruin machines that people bought is something that I find unacceptable. Until this day, it bothers me, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean that was a really scummy thing to do. That when I wasn't Slingbox like it was an independent company, and then Dish Network bought them up or something. I think that
They
was what
did,
happened.
yes. I think that's what happened. And they did.
Um,
It was like in
yeah,
Roger Rabbit. They bought it so they could dismantle it.
yeah. They shut down all the servers for that Slingbox because it wasn't a source of ongoing revenue, right? What they wanted was somebody that you have to pay them a monthly fee. So now they had,
Right.
they'd have the Sling service that you could go turn on and stream stuff, but you had to pay them a monthly fee to use that. Where the other, device before, you'd buy it, and then all that really happened was your device streamed something out, and then they had a little website or an app that would go out and pick up that stream and then send it on to whatever device was receiving it. If I remember correctly, that someone was asking, like, is there somewhere you could like jailbreak those or something? There's been a community effort, as I understand it. There's been a community effort to try and find a way to unbrick them and then use your own servers and stuff. But I don't think it's been particularly successful. I could be wrong, but I do remember I had kind of by the time that whole bricking came around, I had kind of stopped using the
Yeah,
Slingbox.
I mean, I just let it go. What am I going to do? I
Well,
mean, I
for
think
me, it was just I no longer had cable, so I no longer had, you know what I mean. The Slingbox no longer was going to be of any use to me because I didn't have a cable box to attach it to. So I had kind of phased out of even using the thing. But I do remember the whole thing with them just saying, "Yeah, I'm just going to show up. We're just going to come along and we're just going to brick your devices. Screw you."
it's just it's annoying. That's what it is. But let me quickly. I want to look at something that Istophobos really wanted me to look at this. Apparently, I guess when they announced this thing with Leah Thomas, somebody wrote, "Grok, please explain how men shouldn't play in women's sports in a condescending manner in the style of foghorn leghorn." I don't really do like a good foghorn leghorn impression, so I probably can't do this funny.
Scroll up here. Scroll up, and I'll take a look at it. Here. Now listen here, boy. I say listen. Men playing in all women's sports is like a rooster crowing in a hen house. It's a ruckus that don't belong. Biologically, fellas got more muscle, bigger bones, and a whole lot of strength from that testosterone strut. Even with hormone therapy, some advantages stick around like a stubborn mule. It ain't fair to the ladies, I say, who train hard to compete on a level playing field. Oh, no, I can't read it. Scroll up a bit. Ah! Too small.
I don't know how to fix this.
Oh, it won't let you scroll down so I can see it all.
Oh, I don't know what I'm doing.
Let me see here. Maybe I can pull it up on my computer.
Hold on.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on.
You got it?
Yep. I think I found it. Yeah, it ain't fair to the ladies, I say, who train hard to compete on a level field. Fairness in sports means keeping categories clear. Men with women, women with women, or men with men, women with women. Inclusion's fine, but not when it tips the scale, son. Now that's the truth. Plain as a cornfield in July.
You did a pretty good foghorn leghorn, much better than I could have done.
I can do a southern accent, all right. I've lived in the South.
I didn't think. Listen, I could do like a funny Southern accent, but I didn't feel like I can pull this one off. I think you did it better than I could have done it, and I'm happy that it went to you. And as the Phobos says, and the Oscar goes to Professor R2. So yeah, we did it, and I think we've gone over all of our subjects, and there's been a really nice audience here, both on both platforms. Really like hanging out with the people here, both on YouTube and on Rumble. Always fun. Do you? I got kicked out a few times. Do you happen to
give me
know?
just a second here. Tell a joke or something.
Oh no, I have to tell a joke. I'm trying to think. What was I gonna say? Now the pressure is on me. I don't know what to do. But
well, let's see here. Over on Rumble, we had Reach M842, Elizabeth Quince, Phantom Monk, Empress NM. Just kind of scrolling here. Dude Bro Seth 420. We had Istphobos. Looking for some other unique names here. Don't want to miss anybody. Folsom Lockdown was here for a bit. It's good to see you, Folsom. Who else? Still scrolling. A lot of show. Rumble lets you keep the whole chat all the way from the beginning. So if you have the chat window open, at least as a mod, it does. Double R star.
Robna Skubla has a message for you. It says, no hard feelings, R2. As bad as you think Poods is, you must admit he's had a much better and than most popular YouTubers. There's a lot worse than him.
Oh yeah, there's definitely worse than I don't like hate the guy. I'm just not a fan. And everyone's nobody's perfect, right? I know for a fact, I know that Mr. Beast has gone out and done a lot of good in the world. I still don't particularly like the guy,
right?
So that's he's done a lot for a lot of people, and I find him kind of grating, and I think he's done a lot of really questionable stuff, especially in more recent years.
There's something a bit slippery about Mr. Beast, but he has done some good things. Rebecca Gold, which is Ian says, which is Mega Geek says, well done, boys. Well done, boys. Great stream.
Well, thank you, Ian.
Hey,
Thanks for stopping in.
The goalkeeper made it look easy.
If you're going to be up in the middle of the night, Ian, you should join us one night.
Elizabeth Quinn says, happy 4th, y'all. Not sure my schedule.
Yep.
That was a poor impression of Elizabeth Quince. I'm sorry.
We'll be back here. We'll get to celebrate it turning the 4th of July.
That is true.
On Thursday evening into Friday morning. So I think I got everybody on. The last one was Double R Star, who joined us over on Rumble. So over on YouTube, let's see if I can get everybody here. Kay Roberts, Karate Werewolf, Istphobos, Caleb Levine, Mur Rockstro, Stephen Mack, Phantom Outsider, The Dead Man, Malachi D. Wildman, Yitis, Granola Grin, Ace Hanlon, Tex Rogers, Keely Chow, Zun RJ5, Marks 47, The Lovely Sherry, DJ Play Nice, Lasher, Rebecca Gold. Hey there, Ian. Let's see. Mooley Porchers, Robnod Skubla, Read by Nature, E. Clay Thomason, Whalem 03, FKHC 2005, Smilex, Sean Green, Jonathan Conroy, Dave C., Two Fingers, and Ignatz. So yes, thanks for joining us, everybody. And for those of you just listening in, not not in the chat, if you're lurking, we appreciate you being here too. So it's great to have you all here. And if you haven't taken the opportunity yet, if you're new to the channel, please give us a like and a follow. Leave a comment after the stream. If you're over on Rumble, give us a follow there and a like. And we would appreciate it.
Elizabeth Quinn says, "Lo, my full-time babysitter was from New York. Wish I had a Southern accent." All right, that's good to know. And yeah, on this very positive note, we can all say goodbye. And we're here every Tuesday and Thursday at 11:45 p.m. On the Night Owl, and we will be here on this Thursday, at 11:45 p.m. And we hope to see you all there.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.